conversation for a black Christian to have with people who study history and that know the dates and the how, the why, the when, the where. That's a tough it's a tough pill to swallow when we start to dive into that side, because now you can't go to scripture. You can't hide behind what Jesus' teachings was. When did you get Christianity? How did your people get it? From by way of who? Egypt, Ethiopia, Sub-Saharan Africa. Me and Be Easy are we studied up on this, read up on this to the point where um there are no scapegoats. There are no get out of jail free cards when it comes to black people in Abrahamic religions, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, the Hebrew Israelites. The moment you start studying history, you start to realize that there's no apologetic, there's no defense. You bring your front to your front door like Amazon Prime.
I know it has made a lot of people in the black community pretty pissed at us. I will say, but it's a much needed conversation because we've not really gotten together and since uh, the start of Black liberation theology to talk about what the impact of this belief system has been on our society. I don't necessarily see us doing um, any
Bluetooth
surveys,
disconnected.
right? Like sitting back and actually taking a survey of the Black community and the benefit or impact on from either of these belief systems on the people. Like I was wondering right before I went live if the Black church even knows how bad the mental illness is in our community and what we deal with on a daily basis. We're talking to Black believers. Are y'all there?
Yeah, I thought it was just a slight pause, but yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, like I think it's something that um okay, easy. I think it's something that we should do. And I don't think that the Black church actually does that. And I think mental illness is actually served by believers within the Black community because they can say, oh, that's God, or oh, that's the devil. I told you my faith. I told you it's real. And so when they see someone suffering from a mental illness, that person doesn't necessarily get the help that they need because it actually serves the claim of supernatural. And it keeps people in the seats too at the churches. So I think these conversations are much needed, and hopefully we get people who are willing to talk. I mean, the conversation isn't about disrespect. In order for y'all to hear us, we have to be willing to hear y'all. And I'm hoping that we can do that. If there is disrespect from anybody on the panel, just know that we do match energy. We're not trying to have to go there. But if you come up here disrespectfully, talking over people, um, gaslighting and lying, it like I mean it could definitely turn passionate. So let's not do that. Here's the crazy thing that I did, right? I unblocked some motherfuckers that were on my block list. People that I didn't even know that were blocked. So the mod's been on 10. I'm talking about 10. I unblocked a bunch of people on the block list who I think could bring conversation today so that people who have not engaged with this type of conversation can see what we've been dealing with for the last 2.5 years. So I think that's important so that y'all know that we're not just on here saying the shit that we're saying. I believe in 3D deconstruction, which means that it's not just about information, is not just about conversation, but also observation. And I just made that shit up. No. That shit did just come out my motherfucking mind right there. But no, seriously, it's not just about information, conversation, but also about observation. But they need to be able to see the effects of the these narratives on the mind. I'm tripping because I that shit did just come out. But yeah, but I am ready to get started. I appreciate y'all so much for being here. If you are a believer, so the conversation is not just for believers, okay? We want to talk to everybody. We want to talk to skeptics. We want to talk to people deconstructing. We want to talk to atheists. We want to talk to believers, right? That is for this conversation, the primary focus of this conversation is for that side to hear our side. And to every host on the panel, it is for us to hear their side. I know, I know, I know, I know. And I'm talking to black atheist rants right now. I'm talking to black. I know.
I got you. I
Okay,
got you.
okay. If we're gonna get them to the table, we gotta let them. We got to hear them out, right? So that they can't say, "Well, you ain't even let me talk," or "You don't even know," right? That's the only way. Take their excuses away, and like we can be patient and then hit them with the info, right? But
Yes.
but again, don't get up here being disrespectful and shit because we ain't bound down to that shit. Thank you to the Tory Experience on YouTube for the $10 super chat. Appreciate you so much. Says at Black Atheist Rants, your new song is a banger. Please make sure he gets this dono. I can't send him any money. Please don't send another host any money from my YouTube. Don't do that, please. But I appreciate you. Um, love what you all bring to our beautiful community. I don't get the money for 30 days, and I will fucking forget. Um, so please don't send another host any funds through my channel because I don't know if Black Atheist Friends, are you able to screen record?
To
And
my YouTube
yeah,
channel.
to your
Yeah.
YouTube.
Okay.
So yeah,
I
that
got
way I don't know if you can cancel that, Tori, and then send it to Black Atheist Friends. Yeah.
What? Yeah. Shit. They don't have to cancel it. It's cool.
No, no, I want you to get your dono. I want you to get your dono. So I think there is a way for her to cancel it, and then he's going to stream it to his YouTube as well. Be easy if you're able to do that. If you have a YouTube, if you're able to screen record to your YouTube, also.
I don't know how to do that yet.
Oh,
I've been
okay.
asking Bar to show me
Bar, what you doing, man?
for the
Man,
longest now.
I done explained it to him a couple times, but we
Oh,
got to sit down. We got to really sit down
Yeah, you
and
got to sit down and
yeah.
well, I'm like that
step
with
by step for
OBS.
me.
Somebody gonna have to come to my house and set that shit up because Justin has tried to help
OBS
me.
getting
Greg has tried. Yeah, I can't.
ugh.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, look, I had to. I record my videos with OBS, but I literally had to. I had to sit still and like watch videos and learn. Force myself to sit there and learn how to work that stuff because it's so intimidating until you start being like, just sit through it and watch the YouTube tutorials on it. And it's like, oh no, it started making a little more sense. But at first,
You can do it through YouTube. But, I tried. I even took notes I had a one-on-one session with Greg, and I
because I got
still
that.
couldn't do it.
Yeah, I
You
got
know, you
OBS.
know,
I got OBS shining right now. I be recording my video. They be like, it's a movie. I was like, "I know."
Man, somebody gonna
But
have to come
I'm
do
about
it
to
for me.
stream it to the.
Awesome, awesome. She says she's gonna send you a separate dono. Thank you so much, the Tory Experience. I appreciate you. Um, welcome everybody on YouTube. Make sure you share the stream out. Like and share the stream out so that we can get more people over there. So y'all can, I don't know, get wild in the chat over there. Well, they're wild in the chat over here. What's up? What the fuck happened to Bar? What's up, Bash?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen?
How are ya?
I'm moving around. I literally just left the video shoot with Nappy Roots for the song we dropped. Yeah. I literally just got in the car, so we're going to sound check. They doing a show tonight, so I'm going to their sound check right now. I'm gonna do one song with them, and it's the song that we put out. So yeah, how y'all doing?
That's what's
It's a
up.
fun time. Yeah,
and it's dope too. I put it up yesterday on Apple Music when
I
I heard you
appreciate it,
mention it
brother.
yesterday on your live. I was in your live listening. I was like, oh,
I appreciate it, brethren. I'm just trying to, smile through all this bullshit. Try to find something to smile about.
That's all we got to do. Smile to keep from laughing.
Oh, by the way, just random information. Random information. If y'all into Spider-Man, I just want to tell everybody this. If y'all are into Spider-Man, Spider-Man Noir on I think it comes out on Amazon or whatever, like whatever that is. I wrote the theme song to Spider-Man Noir, right? So if you watch Spider-Man Noir at all this season, you will be listening to something that I wrote. And I just want to tell y'all that life is shitty, but it's got some good points.
That's what's up, Bash.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We are ready to get started. I am gonna go over the topics. TMFJ, I got your love, bug. I am gonna go over the topics, and then so I'm thinking I'm gonna ask the host. Do y'all want to do one-on-one, like one person at a time, or do y'all feel
Yeah,
one person at a time? Okay. All right. So we
yeah, I
are
like that.
talking to believers in the Black community, within all Abrahamic faiths, whether you are Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Black Hebrew Israelite, spiritual. What else is it? Selena, I don't need a mod. I don't need a mod on stage tonight. Love bug. We got it tonight. Um, what other religions is it?
Crip. Does Crip count? Crip don't count. All right.
Across
Krill.
the
Nah.
African diaspora. Yeah,
Fight Crip. No, don't count. Okay.
no, no FBA.
That's what
What?
they say where I grew up at. That's what they be screaming.
FBA is a religion.
At this point,
What they believe in? Who they
Pretty.
believe in?
Hey, just kind of heading towards them. They don't. Hey.
it might as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they had a god. No, I need the mods in the chat, and I need y'all if like please, because whenever we get together, y'all know what happens. I need y'all on the lookout because y'all know what happens anytime we get the fuck together. Um, Thank you, appreciate you. Be easy done dropped.
I think it dropped me too because I was trying to. I forgot when you're a guest, you can't.
You
Damn,
can't what?
you can't be on your main account and then like click on to the live. It's gonna drop you down. So I had to go into my other account so I can stream it to
Oh,
YouTube.
okay. Now
Yeah.
I did create each of you a background because if you are the main one engaging with the guest, I'm gonna move you to the big box. So
Okay.
if whenever that happens, if you're able to come on camera, put your background up. That way people can know what your specialty is and know your name. And if they don't already follow you, I want them to follow you. So
What
like
did you send? You sent me the background. You sent me the
yeah,
background
yeah.
in my text message. Where you sent it? Because I
It's
was
in your
busy.
text. It's in your
All right,
text.
let me get it right. I'm fucking up. Let me get it right.
Yeah.
I didn't press the gift button. Okay, now how do I how do
Hey,
I
guess who coming? Hold on for a second, Bar. Guess who coming on camera tonight, y'all? She's your queen to
To be
be.
heck
She coming on camera tonight, y'all. Yes, her name is Fee. For the first time, we finna see Fee. Oh.
to be.
Celebration.
Y'all are
To be
ridiculous.
is great. To be. That's so crazy. To be is the craziest three notes in America.
Oh my gosh. I knew it. When I asked her, I was like, "Are you okay being on camera tonight?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "They finna have a fucking fit."
Oh,
Yeah.
bless.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm very excited about that. But okay, so the way it's gonna work, one person on stage at a time. Continue if you're out in the TikTok streets and you're strolling, let people know that this is the place to be tonight. We're gonna have some real conversations, y'all. We're not here to be disrespectful. This again is a much needed conversation about Black faith in the Black community. The topics tonight are investigating the claim that Black people are not descendants of Adam and Eve. That is one topic. Topic two, if the I'll put this in the mod chat because the post is kind of small. And if y'all can like periodically type the topic, post the topics in the chat. Topic two is let's discuss the impact of Black faith in the Black community. And then topic three, has Black faith been used more for liberation or social control? Those are the main three topics. If you want to discuss one of those topics, go ahead and hop in the guest request box. We are going to be addressing colonialism and religion, slavery and conversion, biblical identity claims, fear, guilt, and obedience, community, morality, and purpose, historical evidence, black culture, and religious conditioning, and why many people are deconstructing faith today. I'm excited today because we're doing a crossover live with atheists who are black, um, which is not popular, should I say. If you don't already know, Black Atheist Rants, can you come on camera right quick, babe?
Yeah. You want me to come?
Yeah,
Oh,
if you can come on camera really quickly and then introduce yourself. I tried to put your specialty under there, and the red is hard to read. I don't know if you can read that off and let people know about your channel, how they can find you, and what you talk about.
okay. Because I done set this thing up. Now I got to, okay, let me,
Oh, were you not able to come in front of the post?
yeah, I just had to put it up. Give me a second.
No worries.
I was in the dark. Oh,
Oh, you're in the dark.
yeah, I had to turn these lights on.
I'm sorry. We want people to know who you are. Y'all have shared the hell out of this live. I appreciate that. Be easy. Are you ready to go? Yeah, Barb was probably in the bed chilling.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to go.
Okay, let me move you to the big box. You got your background up with your specialties and stuff.
Oh,
I'm ready to go, but I ain't got my back.
you tell me.
Yeah.
See the thing. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, you don't.
Let me. No, I don't
No,
know.
it's
People
okay.
people
It's
be
okay.
showing images on the screen and stuff. I don't know how to.
It's okay. This what I'm gonna do. Let me. Damn, I done hid y'all's out of my phone. So I could switch back and forth. Um, go ahead. Don't worry about coming on camera. Bar, go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll bring Easy over.
Yeah, I mean I can come on camera. I just don't know how to switch the little.
Like, do you know how to put a photo? You know how to put a photo up?
That's what I'm talking about. No.
Oh, I don't even know how to tell you. I just know how to do it. I don't even know. I can't remember the steps. Um, Bar, you there? Oh, Bar.
Yeah, I
I was gonna
got it
say
now. I had to
Bar brushing his teeth.
look. I had to put some clothes on. Hold on, I got it. I know how to do it though. Let me see if it's gonna put me right. Hold on. See, you put me on the spot. I ain't know who this.
I told y'all it was a crossover live. Like the goal is for our audiences to get to know each other, follow,
Okay,
follow
I'm
each
here
other.
now.
Yeah,
There
there
it
you
is.
go. There
There
you
it
go.
is.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
All right.
All
Introduce
right. I had to
yourself.
put my glasses on. All right. Yeah. So yeah, everybody. My name is Black Atheist Rants. I usually host TikTok lives where we basically the conversation that I dive into. It's black people should not be Christians, Muslims, or Black Hebrew Israelites. That's usually where I focus. And so I like to dive into the historicity of how black people were introduced to Christianity. Egypt, how did Egypt get Christianity? Ethiopia, how did Ethiopia get Christianity? I like to tap into basically like the timeline of events that happened that led to us being Christian today. You know what I'm saying? The Doom Verses, the Romanist Pontifex, the Papal Bulls, the Doctrine of Discovery, things that black people don't really hear about or they don't talk about it a lot. I try to dive into those things. Like, I say this often, but people don't know who Desiderius Erasmus was. They never heard of, people know about the Vatican, but they've never heard about where the seat of Christianity was prior to the Vatican. Black people always bring up Egypt and Ethiopia, but when we start to dive into the historicity of how they got Christianity, it's coercion, it's violence. And so I just try to. I like to do an external critique of religions and how Black people were introduced to them. That's my main focus, and the reason is because if you don't know history, you don't know anything. I'll go on record and I'll say this: you read the Bible front to back 3 times, and then you'll still know nothing about the world around you. You won't know nothing. That's not a history book. That's mythology. Mythology is not history. And so I just want us to know the when, the where, the how, the why, the who. That's my main goal. If I can get you, because I believe that if I can get you to start to educate yourself on the dates and the time frames, then you maybe that'll unlock this version of you that isn't. I'll give you an example. The other day, we was having a conversation about Lucifer. People are scared of Lucifer, but they've never heard of Saint Jerome and the Latin Vulgate, which is when Lucifer first gets put into the Bible as Satan. Prior to the Latin Vulgate, there was no Lucifer. People don't know that. People don't know that hell and heaven are syncretized. They're made up. During the medieval period is where the concept of this fiery the fiery lake that you're going to reside in, these fear tactics start to develop, but they really get heightened during the medieval period. People don't know that. Black people don't know that. Black people never heard of the it's called the Great Migration period in Europe. This is where there was an influx of like the Germanic people coming in, the Bulgars coming in, and the Roman Empire started to disperse. And this is where you see the word God go from a plural verb to mean, they switched the definition of the word God. They switched it from a polytheistic plural word, and they turned it into what you have today. Black people don't know that. And I'm saying, well, maybe if you learn these things, you'd understand that what's in these religious books do not line up with history. And when you start to study history, it gives you a different account, a different record. The anthropology, the anthropology of religions and these deities, that's a crash course for understanding who made this stuff up and why. That's what you need. And so that's what I try to preach. That's what I try to teach.
Look at him putting that preach word.
Hey. Yeah, that's my sermon. That is my sermon on the Mount, history. If I can teach you a date, a time period, maybe you'll be like, wait a minute, this is not made up, because Pastor Barr just showed me the time period where that was created, or this is not made up because we know we can trace this back to who made it up. You know what I'm saying? I tell people this all the time. If your God got a name, I can tell you who made it up. We can trace you. If your God has a name, we can trace it back. You know what I'm saying? There's only 2 types of gods. There's the God of the gaps, and there's cultural mythology. That's it. There's no other gods. If you're just saying God, then you're talking about the God of some gap that you're filling in. But if you put a name on it, oh, I got you. We can take you right back to the BC or the CE, wherever you want to go. Give me your God's name, and we can take you to the time period when it first came about and who made it up. That's what you need. You can't believe in it when you know, oh, that's Southern Levant mythology. You can't believe in Zeus when you start to dig into who made up Zeus. Dionysus can't be real when you, you know what I'm saying? That's what I try to do. I'm trying to give you history. We got to be historians. We need to know who what's that guy's name?
Don't give all your information.
My bad.
We ain't
Hey,
gonna have that's the end of the show.
You
Let's
too
go
near
on
me not
back
to hear
up,
me. You
back
better.
up.
You near me not
You
there,
better-
but that's pimp
you-
shit right there. You
Hey,
near me
I'm
not
trying
there.
to tell you. Hey, stop me before I get it. You know, I'm a ranter, so it's like as I go on, I get better. So you have to stop.
That was good information. That was good information. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
stop the bus before it pull off, because
No, we know that we're going to learn a lot. I'm looking forward to learning from you tonight. I appreciate you so much for being here. If you're not following Black Atheists, make sure you do that during the show. And we're gonna introduce Be Easy. Go ahead, Easy.
All right, y'all. Forgive me. I got a cool poster too, but I don't know how to put it up. So, but
So if you
I
click on your if you click on your picture, that should be some type of setting to. Or look, I ain't gonna hold you. I just figured it out just now too. So I'm just. I don't know.
all
I ain't the
right.
I
expert
don't
at that.
remember how to
Yeah.
do it.
Say okay. So
Bash
Okay,
it's
let me.
did
it's
his.
it's it's showing it's showing me
Yeah.
like on the okay.
Turn your camera on.
Yeah,
Right.
I got
Once you
my
turn your
camera on.
camera, like when you hit that camera button, bro, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna see at the bottom like effects. You're gonna hit that effects.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Scroll the green
That's what I
screen.
did.
Scroll over the green screen,
Oh.
and then put your when you hit the green screen, you're gonna pick. Probably gonna be the first option on green screen, and then you're gonna pick your picture, and then it's gonna be behind you like that. Down. You know
Oh,
what I
it's
mean?
like when we okay. Let me okay.
You're in there.
Okay.
You're in
Yeah,
there.
okay. I gotta find the green screen.
But
Okay.
we can't do the one like Thinker do because Thinker's the host, so she can make herself a box
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
Yeah.
thing. We can't
That's what
do
I
that.
was like. Damn, am I doing it wrong? I know how to
No,
do it,
you
but it's
right.
because
You
I'm.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just
That's
don't have
okay.
that option.
Okay. So okay. Let me find the green screen. All right. So can we do this then? Cause I'm gonna find the green screen. Cause so can Bash or Figo, and then by that time
Yeah, I
I would
got
have
you.
located the green screen to put. Cause I want my hey,
He said,
I
I
want
want
to be
my
in the cool
background.
kids club. Yeah, I sit
I
at the
got you.
table.
I got you.
Okay.
All right. You're on mute, Bash.
My name is Pinkbeard. I'm named that because my mother, Mama Bash, is 1/4 flamingo. Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, but what I'm here to talk about today is specifically, my specialty is really kind of like the philosophy of religion. Really, not necessarily. I mean, I can talk scripture with you. I can talk a little Hebrew, a little Greek with you. That's not really what I like to focus on. I like to focus on specifically the thought patterns that make up religions. One of my favorite authors to read is Daniel Dennett, who specializes in the philosophy of religion. And no, I'm sorry, actually he specializes in the psychology of religion. And I like to talk about like just how these thought patterns affect us and how they influence us, blah blah blah. I'm going to talk about today specifically that West African diaspora Black people are not descendants of Adam and Eve. We are biblically we are just not that. This book is not about us, to us, for us in any way. I'm gonna keep it simple.
Thank you, Bash. Well, Pink Bear, I appreciate you so much. Also, he is a former Black Hebrew Israelite, and he sacrificed a cow. Be easy. I'm joking.
Damn.
I'm joking. That you on mute.
It was a goat. Don't do me like that. It was a goat.
It was a
It
goat. It
wasn't a
wasn't a
cow.
cow.
It wasn't a cow. But I have sacrificed the goat in my life.
You can't question his gangster.
Oh yeah. Oh nigga. What I believe I do, and that's on everything. If I believe it, I'm gonna do it, and I really did believe that at the time. But you live and you learn, and then you get loves.
All right. Fee, you ready?
Yep, hang on 2 seconds for me.
Okay. Easy, have you found the green screen yet?
Okay, let me. So yeah, so I figured out everything. I figured it out. But because that's what I just switched phones. That's why I dropped it and it come back up. But on my other phone is where I saved the picture and stuff, and it's not transferring my iCloud yet.
Okay.
So
I'll
I
introduce
need.
myself
Okay,
while
yeah.
you do that, while
So
you and Fee get
okay,
together. Okay.
so I gotta come back on my other phone.
All right. Hold on. I gotta figure it out. Okay.
Gutenberg gang for you right there.
Huh?
I said that's Gutenberg gang for you.
All right, y'all. I'm Thinker. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for being here. I know several people shared the stream out across other social media platforms, and hopefully, more people will come in. I like to talk textual criticism. I do like to talk scripture. I like to talk about the history of the ancient Near East. I like to talk about context of the scriptures, the cultural context. I like to understand why believers believe the things that they believe, bridging the gap between let me say this. I don't give a damn about a person believing in a God, because for me, I think the most important thing is what you think a God is telling you and the impact on that belief in society. Because what you do to me matters more. So I'm more pragmatic in that way. Although I am atheist, I like to talk about morality. The like I do a lot of observations and um, yeah, culture and deconstruction. So that's what I focus on. And so if we ever get into scripture claims that black atheists twist scriptures, misinterpret scripture, don't understand scripture, those are the times that I want to really dig in and understand from your perspective why you say that. I want to know why you think that you can read using Holy Ghost eyes, and what the heck does that mean? I want to know so much that I did learn Hebrew and I am learning Greek next, so that I can know like I know like I know. Despite what another person tells me, I have my own ability and my own knowledge, and I'm able to stand on that shit and back it up. So that's who I am. Thank you so much for being here. Easy, you ready? You had it.
You see, I got. Oh, check me. Oh, snap. Oh, snap.
Oh no,
Oh,
you had it up easy. It was it was that. There you go. No,
all right, check me out. Why is? Oh,
you gotta hit
man, this is
save.
embarrassing.
You gotta hit save.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh, hey, okay, hey, check me out, y'all. Hey, courtesy of the think. Hey, she made us two cool ones, man. I'm about to check
Yeah,
me out, man. Appreciate
that
the
joint
thinkers,
is tough.
but
Real
hey,
for real. That red, a
yeah,
touch of red.
ain't gonna lie to you, boy. Mine look better than yours. I ain't gonna lie
You
to you.
think
I ain't
so?
even gonna,
It's the
but
gold. It's the gold. That's what it. If it wasn't for the gold, because the red is, man, it's doing something for me. You know, I love that red on that black, man. That's cold
yeah.
right there.
Oh, okay. We set tripping right now. Yeehaw! Appreciate that. But man, yeah, y'all, hey, yeah, I'm be easy, and and my thing is like I love this topic and stuff, and like someone, I'm gonna say this real quick, and someone asked me the other day, like if I don't believe in this stuff anymore, like why do I go so hard against it, and just hey, I'm gonna get cutthroat with it, like honestly, I hate Christianity now, and and one of the main reasons for it is because to be a Christian, is to participate and promote white supremacy, and like to us in our community, you know, like the our image of God and Jesus, our savior and stuff, looks like a stereotypical YT man. And so in us, our mindset, when we interact with YT people, when we think about YT people, when we talk to YT people, we subconsciously, without even realizing it, we submit to a level of inferiority to YT people, because to us in our brain, like they are of the same image of God, of our Savior, and we're not. So they must be better, and we don't even realize that. So that's why I like when they can, they or others can do stuff to us, and we're so quick to forgive them. But anytime we interact with each other, or if we do something to each other, it's World War III, and them introducing Christianity to us, enforcing it on us was one of their greatest moves on the chessboard, you know. And to make a long story short, and to me, I'm, Bar and I, we're just alike. As you know, like we love talking about the historical origins of things and how this religion, was forced upon us from colonization and everything. And with me, I like, I love talking about, like, I've put in the sweat equity. I know Jesus Christ was not a real person. You know, Paul was not a real person. Most of the characters and events in the Bible, Old and New, was mythology. Most of the characters were not real people. Most of the things did not really happen. And so like I often say in my lives, like, Christians are so quick to, place all other quote unquote spiritual systems and reliefs and stuff in the box of mythology, you know, but it's the same way with Christianity. If your characters are not real, it's just a myth, and I, you know, I just think that people should believe in true things. Let's step into the realm of reality and get out of the realm of make believe. While we're looking in the book to, pray to that Savior to improve, our life conditions or whatever, other cultures are up in those laboratories and, doing the physical things that they need to do to create and manifest the world that they want to live in while they're here. Whereas we're just praying about it and we just think that, hey, after we unalive, Jesus is gonna take care of it and give us a better life. No, man, no. So I'm gonna leave it like that because I was talking about bar and I see I can I can start ranting too.
No, like I said,
So man, but thank you for
you
this,
got a
man.
lot of information, Easy, and I look forward to learning from you as well, and looking forward to having some good conversations. Theology, are you ready?
I am. I am.
Yeah.
Myself, how did it
Okay.
Thank y'all so much.
Are you
Thank
are
y'all
you
so much
turning
for
your camera
patience.
on right now or later?
Not, no, 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 not right now. I
Okay.
will when I get home. I'm still not home yet.
Okay.
I don't have a specialty like the rest of the amazing
Yes, you
people,
do.
other
I
than
put it on your
probably
thing.
I did read that. I didn't. I wasn't. I don't know how to.
V said,
See, I
"That's
don't know
not
how to.
me." I think you're so. I think theology. You're just straight theology. Like I swear, the human brain is all you. Like you encompass everything: critical thinking,
Oh,
logic, science, evolution. Um, like I was gonna put former J Dub on there, but I didn't want to box you into just J Dub conversations all night.
oh,
Um,
that would have been fine. And I think you're like I was gonna say my specialty is befriending brilliant people online who let me come up on their panels and run my mouth. Like I think that's my niche. But I think that our community has got to understand the benefit of critical thinking. Like Bash says all the time that, true things are useful. And I think for so long as a community, information and knowledge and the ability to think about how we think and identify the benefits of moving towards things that are true and helpful to our community was kept away from us, right? We couldn't read, we couldn't have access to higher levels of education. Like that was just kept from the Black community for so long. And I think that the thing that was looked to as some sort of salve or balm is this belief system. And it's not gotten us anywhere. So I engage in these conversations because I think that we as a people are brilliant. Like we are creative. We are just a very powerful group of people. And I think the way to tap into that power is to do so through things that are true. And if we're constantly focused on ideas and ideologies and dogmas that have been forced upon us ancestrally, and it just kind of shoved down our throats through indoctrination of families who have been tied to this belief system for so long, we are holding ourselves back. We are being the very chain that we're trying to break. And I think by having these conversations, we're helping to push that needle just a little bit farther. So I'm excited about the conversations today.
well, you already know I love having you here. I don't think that it would be such an amazing community if you were not. And I'm looking forward to learning from you tonight as well. If you're not following Theology, make sure you go ahead and do that. Fee will be a co host on the Atheist Experience with me on May 26th at
24th,
24th. Why the fuck do I
24th.
keep putting you on the
You put
26th?
us on in 26 every day. It's the
It's the
24th.
24th. My ass
You're
ain't
going to
gonna
have
show
people on
up.
Monday be
I
like,
ain't
what
gonna
the fuck
show the
is.
fuck up. I ain't
I'll
gonna
text you.
show. Oh my gosh. May 24th. Fee will be a co-host with me on the Atheist Experience. Make sure you put that on your on your calendar because I will after tonight. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get it started. Lords, if you are in the in the chat, and if ever, of course, Lords comes in and out. Lords is the Lords of the community, and Lords does what the fuck Lords wants to do. So, of course, as I said earlier, Lords may pop in and out. Um, Black Atheist Rants is streaming on YouTube. Somebody paid a super chat to ask that question. He is streaming on YouTube. Thank you so much, Astronova, for the $20 super chat. Ties to you. Thank you for all the wonderful work you do. I appreciate you. And Paula Williams, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Lord, I'm happy to be here. To be here and here. Oh, I like that. All right, y'all. If you're in the guest request box, the topics, one more time, are let's discuss the impact of the black faith in the black community. Topic 2, black people are not descendants of Adam and Eve. Topic 3, has black faith been used more for liberation or social control? And let's go ahead and get it started. You must be 18 and up tonight to participate in the conversation. Oh, goodness. Don't start with that wait list shit. Everybody on the wait list. Everybody on the wait list. All right, y'all. We are talking to skeptics. We're talking to believers. We're talking to people deconstructing, people of all Abrahamic faiths. If you are Muslim, if you are Jewish, if you are Black Hebrew Israelite, if you are Christian, maybe you don't identify as a Christian, but you identify as a believer. If you are spiritual, if you are deconstructing and maybe you don't know what you are just yet. The conversation is open to everyone across the diaspora. So you must be someone who identifies as Black to participate in the conversation tonight, because again, the conversation is specifically for the Black community. We don't mind everybody watching and participating, but we are interested in speaking to the Black community tonight. Also, don't be scared, because that is the thing that is tripping me the fuck out. We hear a lot of hearsay about Black atheists on this app, about the conversations that we have, but it seems like when we try to bring those people to the table, there seems to be some apprehension. So don't be scared to participate. Larry, are you in the request box on purpose or on accident? Larry Ballard? Larry, are you in the request on purpose? Okay. All right. And Bash, I know you said that you have to go. Go ahead and talk a little bit about, because you're the one who came up with the topic and wanted to dig deeper into Black people are not descendants of Adam and Eve. Give these people a little bit of time to get their nerves out the way. I know
No
it's a
problem.
lot of mind power on stage. Remember, you are at home. You are behind your phone screen. You do not have to come on camera if you come up. Uh, and it is a safe space as long as you are civil and respectful to the rules of the space. Go ahead, Bash.
Okay. So the premise of what I'm saying here is that members of the African diaspora, West African people, are not mentioned in the Bible at all. They're not mentioned as children of Adam and Eve or Noah. I mean, we can pretty much, if we follow the biblical narrative, then we know that basically all of creation began over after Adam and Eve, after all of the Nephilim were gone, or at least claimed to be gone. And then we get to the table of nations, in Genesis chapter 10. Do you mind if we read this just so we can can
Yeah,
somebody read this for me?
yeah.
All right, yeah.
I'll read it for you.
Yeah, I want to go to the children of Ham, and then we'll go to the Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, and then we'll go to a couple Bible dictionaries just so I can make the case that West Africans are not in this particular group of people. If we get to Genesis chapter 10, I want to say this is the last one. I just want to read the children of Ham. That's really all I want to read ultimately.
Okay. And of course, if you are someone who believes that this is a correct genealogy that does lead to West Africa, you are free to come up and have a conversation with Bash about it. The Genesis 10, starting at verse 6, the descendants of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. The descend. That's all you need. You want the descendants of Cush too?
You
The
keep going.
Hamite.
Just read all these. Read all these.
Okay, the descendants of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sabata, Ramah, and Septeka. The descendants of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. Cush became the father of Nimrod. He was the first on earth to become a mighty warrior. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore, it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar. From that land, he went into Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Ir, Calah, and Resen between Nineveh and Calah. That is a great city. Egypt became the father of Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, Napatuhim, Patharuzim, Kalushim from the Philistines come and Captorim.
Keep going.
Canaan became the father of Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusites, the Amorites, the Girgashites, the Hivites, the Archites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathadites. What? No, the Hamathites.
The goddamn what? The goddamn what did you say?
I'm sorry. The Hamathites. The Hamathites.
I said, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
I'm sorry. It's the Hamathites. The Hamathites. Afterward, the families of the Canaanites spread abroad, and the territory of the Canaanites extended from Sidon in the direction of Gerar as far as Gaza and the direction of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim as far as Lasha. These are the descendants of Ham by their families, their languages, their lands, and the nations.
Okay. I want to start by saying that throughout most of the Old Testament, all you'll find is that the Hebrew people had an enmity with all these people, right? I'm sure you heard Sodom and Gomorrah in there. You heard the Amalekites, you heard the Amorites, you heard the Canaanites. These are all people that the Hebrew people would have an enmity with just for the literal fact that they exist, right? These people were offered as slaughter, blah, 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 just for the literal fact that they exist. Right. So technically, I want to make a secondary claim. One is that West Africans are not descendants of Adam and Eve. Two, that the entire Bible is anti-black. It's anti-African. If we go to a Zondervan's Bible dictionary, actually, let me pull this up for you. Hold on. I'm gonna change my background real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
Save. All right. This is the Zondervan's Bible dictionary entry. Would you read that for me, please? Thank you. Could you read? Can you see that?
Yeah. Zondervan's Compact Bible Dictionary. Zondervan's, I'm sorry. Ham, not the Negroes. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the
Okay.
Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites.
Okay. So this tells you that all the dark races, the African nations that aren't Negroes, they claim are children of Ham. But all those dark races that are not the Negroes become the enemies of Israel for no other reason than that they exist. So not only are we not the children of Adam and Eve or the children of Noah, our relatives are just born enemies of Israel. Right, and that you heard about the people of Gaza, you heard about the Palestinians, you heard about the Girgazites, like all the people that Israel would seek to destroy for no other reason that they exist. So not only again are we not children of Adam and Eve because they don't mention in the West African nations there. I should probably mention this. You notice how they said that this was about 96 years before the flood that Ham would have been born. The
Yeah.
flood is claimed to be around 1440, somewhere around 14. Well, no, about 1640. I'm sorry, somewhere around 1640. West Africans have been settled in West Africa for well over 78,000 years. Right, well over 78,000 years, which means we cannot be children of Ham. Again, we are not only not children of Ham, not children of Noah, we are also not children of Adam. This book is not about us, to us, for us in any way. Okay, that's what I wanted to lay out.
All right. Thank you so much. Keyshawn, are you up here on purpose or on accident? Keyshawn? That Emily, that damn porn bot just keep on coming no matter how many times I block it. Math whiz? Math whiz?
Oh, accident.
All right, y'all. All right, y'all. If you are someone, again, you do not have to be a believer. We're not here to just talk to believers. If you are a black atheist, if you are a black skeptic, someone who identifies as spiritual, if you are Muslim and black, I'm shocked at y'all because most of the time y'all want to get at our fucking heads, especially mine. And the day that I put together a panel to talk to you about the impact of faith, black faith in the black community. Um, I don't know. I honestly think when it comes to my live, I don't know. Nerves start to creep up on them. They were tagging the fuck out of me earlier in Mama Bash's live and Auntie Charlene's live. So don't get scared. When you come up here, you might not even have to talk to me. You would probably talk to Fee or Black Atheist Rants or Easy or Pinkbeard.
And I'm really nice. I'm really nice.
Yeah, he is. He's probably the nicest one up here.
I'm nice too, y'all.
Yeah. Says the guy with rants
Yeah.
in his name. No, I'm
Yeah, he
joking. I'm
ran.
joking.
We all nice. That's why we like to keep Lortz and Ariel and stuff around because they yeah.
I'm a
'Cause they
nice
go for
person.
the
I just don't deal with lies very well
I
and
smile.
gaslighting.
I'll let you lie and gaslight. I'll let you get away with all that shit. I'll let you
yeah.
do all that shit. I'm gonna let you get your shit off. Cause it ain't gonna change the fact that you're wrong. I'm gonna let you get your shit off.
That's what I said. Like today is the day for us to hear
Mm-hmm.
their perspective, right? Um, for them to, I know a lot of them um, like to talk about their testimonies. Today would be that day. Like if you think that facts don't matter because experience and testimony do, and you think that that's what we should be focusing on, like at least come with a logical reason for that because we're gonna come back with logic. It's a serious conversation about the impact of this historically and today, the impact of this Abrahamic religion in the Black community. Because if we look at the numbers, Black people across the diaspora are more religious than the entire public. If we line that up with uh, the wealth gap, the education gap, the home gap, the healthcare gap and discrepancies, the shit we dealing with today with the gerrymandering and them literally in Alabama, Bash, did you see this? Asking the Supreme Court to reinterpret the 14th Amendment.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
I'm watching it happen. I'm watching it happen, and I'm pissed.
Yeah, yeah. And so where is the black God? And what does the black God do for the black community today? Historically, we know about liberation theology. We know that it's been used to galvanize when we were fighting, during the Civil War, during Jim Crow, slavery. Like, we know that. But we've had to use it right alongside of the same oppressive systems that were oppressing us in other areas while we fought just for the right to exist, right? And so we kind of had to make friends with the beast. And so the conversations are really important to have. So don't be afraid. Come up and let's get this started. Like, especially like if you're somebody that actually cares about the black community. This is not about um, you know shitting on you because you are a believer. These are real conversations, much needed conversations, difficult conversations. So I hope that you're able to come up and participate. What's up, Everton?
Hi, Thinker.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Which topic did you come up to discuss?
Give me 1 second,
Here, I
because I
can,
can't read it.
I can,
Thank you.
yeah, I have to say them over and over because the it's really small. But the topics are discussing the impact of Black faith in the Black community. Black people are not descendants of Adam and Eve, and has Black faith been used more for liberation or social control?
The last one, Black faith being used for liberation or social control.
Okay, go ahead. What are your thoughts?
I Something that I've observed is that when I look at the global Black diaspora, we do have a more, I don't know if I want to say spiritual connection or understanding of our universe. And I think that religion came in and corrupted that into a dogmatic ideology. And we don't know how to separate the two, if that makes sense.
Can you share with me what you mean by a spiritual connection?
So, from my studies and understanding, when our, like the diaspora, when they look at the universe and the world, they viewed it more so as systems. And, like, for example, the EFA system is about pattern recognition, binary numerology, how the brain works. It's like just basic tools and introduction to different concepts in science and psychology. But then I feel like somewhere along the line, with all of our spiritual teachings, colonization came in and they became religions. And then it became about worship and behavior modification and less about trying to figure out our environments and how to build using our observation and what we discovered from just doing basic scientific experiments or repetition or etc.
Okay, and so are you saying that Black people should go back to that, and that will make a better impact in the Black community than the current religious systems that are used today?
I never thought of it like to go back to. I think that we should remove the religious aspect and just stick with the trying to understand our environment part of what we used to deem as our spirituality, because that's what produced our civilizations. That's how we discovered irrigation systems and indoor plumbing and how we built and etc.
Okay. I
So I
think
think it's more for useful tool than the religious aspect, which is the behavior modification and the deity worship and all of that extra stuff.
so. Well, like, what's the reason for calling it spirituality? Like, to me, it sounds like you're talking about science and psychology and
Because
um,
that's what they called it. They didn't call it science or technology. They called it spirituality.
okay. And so how do you see the current Abrahamic faith that the over 97% in America of black believers subscribe to, and then 99% on the continent of Africa? Do you see the Abrahamic religions having more impact towards the liberation of the diaspora, or more of social control?
I think it's more so for social control, and those Abrahamic aspects have seeped into the older traditional African spiritual aspects as well. So now you have an homunculus of a old and new thing, but it lost its progressive aspects or its ability to build and help the people move forward. So they're no longer trying to figure out their lived environment. They're no longer building with it. They're no longer advancing their civilizations. They're just praise and worshiping things.
Yeah, I know it, especially on the continent, when I talk to believers on the continent, a lot of them know and have observed that when younger people become Christians on the continent, they become docile. And some of them have shared that they prefer them to be docile because it means that they're not being criminals, but they don't become productive members of society. And I don't see how that's a good thing. But I try not to speak too much on that because I'm not on the continent and I have no idea what level of criminality the young people are doing there. And they might see, like, if they're out murdering people, to them, to have them docile believers might be better. But it is interesting to me that that is the impact of a young mind, and that's what's being reported from believers on the continent, that it literally strips them of their ability to be productive citizens of society, which is what Africa needs, right? More people who are able to critically think, who have knowledge and education, who can think outside of the box to help them, take advantage of their resources. I was talking to a believer from Kenya, and he said that it is their fault that Europeans came in with their God and took the gold out of their ground and sent the gold back to their nation so that they can eat and become wealthy. He said it's the Kenyans' fault because they didn't know what to do with the gold. And then he said when they introduced them to their God, they learned that they're not supposed to do anything with the gold anyway because they're supposed to store up their treasures in heaven. And like, I was like, to hear that,
Wow.
yeah, come from the mouth
Yeah,
of
I heard that shit too. That hurt me bad, bro. That hurt me bad.
I've also I'm Jamaican birth, but I grew up in here in America, and in the island we have our spiritual practice called obia. But obia is actually it was made illegal by the British government for the island to practice, but people still practice it in secret. But most modern Jamaicans view it as demonic or evil. But obia was one of the tools that was used to liberate our people from colonial rule, because with the practice of obia you also have to understand plant medicine and herbology and the terrain and other aspects of survival. So the the tenements of the spiritual practice is to understand your land and your environment. And a lot of modern Jamaicans do not understand their land and their environment anymore. We have a plant in Jamaica. This is not its botanical name, but we call it donkey pew pew. it looks like an eyedropper, and it's really good for helping your eyes to heal, and it actually helps with cataracts and glaucoma. And most Jamaicans who are suffering through that don't even know that plant exists on their island to help them, because they're not actually partaking in their traditional spiritual customs or practice. So they've lost that knowledge of what to do with the flora around them. So it's been like global. We've just lost our knowledge of our environment because we deem it demonic or witchcraft or evil. And I don't understand how a plant could be witchcraft or demonic.
I throw this out there. I just want to just as a we sometimes we use these words like spiritual, but you did a great job at saying that it's really about pattern recognition, right? And I often say that spirituality is just pattern recognition, right? You're recognizing certain patterns, and there in any pattern there can be statistical junk, right? Like if you get into statistics, then you'll know, okay, yeah, that's just junk. That's noise. That's statistical noise. That really has nothing to do with the actual pattern. And there's a way to determine that. And when you get into your harder sciences, you find it out, and you try to eliminate the statistical noise to try to hone in on the actual active agent, if that makes sense, right? So whatever that plant may be, and keep in mind, I don't know much about that plant, right? Let me start by saying that. If that plant is helpful for a thing, then there is at least one agent, or maybe more than one agent collectively, that help that thing, right? And now, while the spiritual practice may say, hey, do you recognize this pattern, right? A harder science would say, hey, why is that pattern happening, right? What is it about this plant that does X, Y, Z? Now, a spiritual practice may say, hey, you got this problem, take this thing, it can work for you. And it may work. By no means am I saying it doesn't work, because most of the medicines that we currently use are just concentrated forms of some plant, right? So plant medicine is basically all the medicine that exists. There are some other medicines, but most of the medicines that we take are plant medicines. We just concentrate whatever that active ingredient is. We concentrate it to get more of that and less of the statistical noise, right? Acetaminophen, all these are just plant derivatives, right? I think I want to make sure I say this with as much grace and okay. People who live on land, people who live off the land, who may not have necessarily branched into the harder sciences. Let me say it this way. Most indigenous religions are what I call proto-sciences, right? You're recognizing certain patterns, and but you don't dig enough into said pattern. And so you go, okay, that's the answer. Right? You take this little plant and it'll do X, Y, Z, but you don't know why it does X, Y, Z. You don't know what potency of it does X, Y, Z. You don't know how much of it we need to take at what intervals, blah, blah, blah. So just take this thing, right? And it'll help you. Well, it may or may not help because you need further study on the thing. You need blah, blah, blah. Which is why I call our indigenous religions kind of proto-sciences.
Can I interject there?
Of course. Yes.
I think there's a slight Western bias in what you're saying, because the people who would be administering this medicine, the OBA practitioners, they actually study it as an academic scientific process. So they know the science behind it. They know the components and the compounds. I think what you're failing to understand is the people they administer it to would be the ones who don't actually know why the plant works, but they know that it works. And then as word gets spread about the plant, the population learns about it, so they know the function of it, but they don't know the science behind it, but the practitioner does. It's the same thing with medicine today. We know Tylenol works for pain and headaches, but we don't actually know the chemistry behind it because we're not the physician.
That's literally what I'm saying. That's literally what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, okay, both art and science, I call art and science the great altars of humanity, right? Art and science, the reason that I call them the great altars of humanity is because in art, if I make a new piece of art, I submit it to the world, right? I submit everything that I've learned about music I'm a musician, I'm a songwriter, right? So whenever I publish a song, I put that out for the world to interpret, for the world to dissect. Anyone can go and dissect exactly what it is that I did. You could do it. You can know the beats per minute. You can know the key. You can know the key tension. You can know the resolves. You can do the theory on it. You can know it. Like
So you open sourced it.
all music is open source. All music is open source, right? Because it comes with a language of open sourcing. And even if you don't know the language of music, sound is a language in and of itself. So you could literally just go and recreate the sound, right? Chemistry is not quite as open sourced. It can be, but you need to know the language of it. And most of us aren't fluent in chemistry, right? Most of us aren't fluent in virology. Most of us aren't fluent. And these are just languages. Don't get me twisted. They're no different than the language of music. But
Why is ours proto though, when we do the exact same thing?
let me tell you why. Because they aren't open source. The reason I call it proto is because it's not open source. If it were open source, it would just be modern science, right? Because all modern science submits to peer review, right? Prior to peer review, all of us practiced proto-science. All of us did. I don't like the term pseudoscience because pseudo says it's not real. I'm not saying this isn't real. I'm saying it's in the developmental stages. Modern science submits to the altar so that everybody gets a chance to study it.
Have you gone into study the botanical knowledge of Obia?
Well, if I had to look at it through Obia, then the answer is it's not open sourced. Right?
I feel like that's just an excuse
No,
to
no,
not
not an
study
excuse.
the thing, but
No,
then to go around and judge it.
No, I'm not judging it. Hear me out when I say it could be the absolute best idea of all times. Let me start by saying that. I am by no means criticizing it. I don't know enough about it to critique it. Does that make sense?
But what I'm
Right.
asking is, why not just learn about it, then critique it?
If it were open sourced, I could.
You could just find a practitioner.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. Any other science, I don't need a practitioner. I don't have to find a practitioner. If this were any other kind of chemistry, I could just go to the open source of chemistry. I don't have to practice anything else other than what is the chemical. I don't have to follow any.
But the reason why it's not open source is because the British government made it illegal.
But the chemistry isn't illegal. Chemistry is not illegal.
Yes, but the practice of Obia to apply that type of chemistry was made illegal.
I guarantee you, any plant on any island, any plant can be studied chemically.
Correct.
Yes.
But then if you apply it in that manner, then it becomes illegal. Like, I feel like we're not understanding the colonial aspect of why the thing isn't like a modern thing, even though it's the same thing.
No, I do understand.
So if somebody was to practice regular chemistry and use the plant in a chemical manner, and someone came behind and said, oh, that's an Obia practitioner, now that chemist will be jailed for practicing chemistry, even though somebody else is calling it a different name because they recognize a similarity.
Let me say this. I own 40 acres of a certain plant that is not federally legal in America. Does that make sense when I say that? While that plant has certain medicinal uses that we know of, like we're very aware of the fact that particular plant has lots of medicinal uses. Federally, while some states have accepted said plant, as a federal government, we just knocked it down to what they call it. What they call it, like a category one, right? So that we can begin to study it, right? Because, but the chemistry of the plant is well known, yada, yada, yada. But because it was colonized to say a certain thing about the plant, we couldn't use the plant for certain things, right? So we couldn't even really legitimately study it as just therapy. Am I making sense so far?
Yes, I just don't think it's analogous.
But let me go through it. Let me tell you why. The reason that that plant was criminalized was because of who used it. We still together? There's another plant that comes from South America that gives people a lot of energy. It was criminalized for the exact same purpose, not because of the chemistry, but because of who used it. Are we still together?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, all right. What I'm saying is the reason that the reason that I'm calling this a proto-science, and proto-English is a real language. I'm not by any means calling it pseudo. I'm calling it proto, right? In order to turn it into open source science, there are some barriers that we have to go through, right? And those barriers are good for people who don't practice the spiritual system. Because the knowledge of the plant is not confined to what you think about the practice. If the plant works, whether you practice the thing or not.
Correct, but this is the aspect I think you're not taking on since the implementation was given a name and that name was banned, then the act of even learning the science became a taboo subject. So right now you have people who have access to a science but may not know it because of past fears of being called something, even though they're practicing basic chemistry or botany or etc. So now you have an island full of people with flora that is there and is present. They don't know 100% how to use it. Or if they know how to use it because they still have ancestral knowledge, they don't know the chemistry behind it because that part of it can be affixed with a negative connotation. So they avoid it altogether. So then it becomes it's just now a dead science to them.
That's exactly what I was saying about the plant that I grow. Literally, everything you just said, word for word, is exactly what I'm telling you about the plant that I grow.
Yes, but in yours, the plant is the problem.
No, the plant became the problem. The plant used to be used all over the place. The plant became a problem because of who used it.
Yes, but the knowledge of the plant isn't banned. I don't know if
Yes,
I'm
it
making
is. They
sense.
literally won't let you study it. They literally wouldn't. We just made it Schedule 1 just a couple months ago. The only thing that this current president has done that I even remotely agree with is that up until just a couple months ago, you could not study this plant. It was a Schedule 3 controlled substance. It was up there with other things that I can't even say because they'll block the live for.
You can get you can ask for permission to study the plant.
No, you can't, because it was a Schedule 3
Hold on one
substance.
second. So
Okay.
no labs, no scientists, no government of agent, nobody have ever studied this plant
No.
legally.
No. What we've done with it is we've taken basically like the spiritual use for it. Basically, we say, oh, if you can't eat, take this, right? But we haven't been able to study why it works. So we basically treated it like a religious plant. We've treated it like,
Are we talking about Mary Jane?
yes, we are. And I grow this. I have 40 acres of it that I use through the state of Oregon. If there's one thing I know, it's this. No, there are studies that we can't even begin to start on with this because of who used it. Because of who used it. The same thing is true about another plant that we used to make Coca-Cola out of. Right? They banned it, and it was specifically because of who used it. Right? Not because we had studied it and deemed it to be bad. It was just, hey, them people using it, and they getting a jump start on their work because of it. They thought, oh, them people from down there, they working harder than us because they have this.
But this is saying that marijuana was
Say,
it
without,
was
You
without
can't
banned.
say
specifics.
that. You can't say that on here.
Oh, I'm sorry. MJ was banned in 1937,
Mm.
but research shifted towards more therapeutic use and chemotherapy in the 1970s and 80s. In 1985, the FDA approved synthetic versions
Yes.
and etc. So
Listen to what I said. Listen to what I said. We use it like a spiritual plant for therapeutic use, things of that nature. Are you hungry? Here, I know this works, but we haven't been able to do the open source. Why does it work? Right? To get into the pure chemistry of it, because it has been a Schedule 3. Not saying that we haven't studied it at all.
okay, well that's how I interpret
Okay,
your
okay. No, no.
statement.
I'm
That
saying we're using it the same way that somebody in another place might use. You ever heard of a hape root?
mhm.
Okay, all right. So we're using the same way people use a hape root. Hey, this works for this. Hey, take that. Right? But we can't go through the FDA approval process. We can't get into the real nit grits of it because the people who used it, they said, no, we can't let them do that. Right? So it couldn't be open sourced. Now we literally just moved it into Schedule 1, where now we can actually get into like, okay, why does this work? Let's do these kinds of tests. Let's do this. Is it the cannabinoids? Is it the terpenes? Is it blah, 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 blah? Now we can really get into it. We can put some real money into it, really try to figure out how it works. Right? But before then, it's just like, oh, well, this might help you with your hunger problem. Here, try this. Right? Which is more of a pattern recognition kind of thing. More than it is okay, this is how it works. You see the difference?
No, I get what you're saying now. Since the premise isn't, it's never been studied. So
Yeah.
we're in agreement there.
Yeah. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. Of course, if on a basic level, the people who practice opiate have studied it. Right? Like anybody that's taken it, we can count that as a data point. Right? But when we get into the mechanics of it, when we break away from the how am I trying to say? When we break away from the spiritual practice of it and get into just the pure chemistry of it, right? Of course, once that's banned, then it's like, okay, now we can't even look into that plant.
Correct. So it hasn't been able to evolve into just the science part.
Yes. And that's why I'm calling it proto-science. Does that make sense now? That's why I'm calling it proto-science. Because if I give you something and it works, that's a piece of evidence, right? That's a hypothesis. That's an analysis. That's a prediction, right? Right. So I'm starting in the scientific process for sure. I'm using the scientific method for sure, but I'm not able to really dig into my findings because such and such that's been banned by such and such. You can't study it that way. Blah 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 blah. Right. And a lot for several reasons. One of which just may be who uses the plant, right? Who got access to it. One of the things that I noticed about the specific plant that I grow. Once a bunch of rich people started buying up the licenses of poor people like me, all of a goddamn sudden, they dropped the schedule. That's a fact. I happen to still hold on to my license, but it's a bunch of small town farmers that live in South Oregon, North California, places like that where they still growing in the sun. Not these synthetic, and nothing against people who, however you grow is how you grow. That ain't my business. But people who are really using the land to grow, they don't want you to do that. Right. But once the very, very wealthy came and started buying up all those lands, then they're like, oh, you know what we should do now? We should drop the schedule on that. Let them study it. Right. So now we go from the proto-science of that particular plant to a more specific science of that particular plant. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I was trying to say.
So, if we circle it back to that the spirituality that you were talking about, what exactly was the point that was being made? Were you saying that?
Oh no, it was to reference back to, I guess more so the conversation about the religiosity of Black people, in a sense, and why we do cling so much to religion as a tool for us to deal with the world, environment, situations, and etc. And my point was what I have witnessed, or pattern recognition, because we do come from what I've read in our history, a lot of spiritual practices and ancestral spiritual practices. When religion came in, it was easy to assimilate into that, even though it did make us lose our scientific understanding of things. And we kind of fused the two into a weird homunculus of a concept. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
But
So instead
uh,
of us actually like trying to figure out atoms and gravity, we just give everything over to a god and well, we don't know how people are made. But I'm like, no, you can just do research and study.
Exactly. That's why. Yeah, that's along the lines of. That's why I said earlier when I was introducing myself. How people of other cultures, they're in the laboratories, and etc. Trying to create and manifest the reality that they want to live in. Whereas now we're just praying about it, and hoping God gonna fix it or reward us in the afterlife. So yeah,
Correct.
I,
Yeah.
I totally understand what you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, and I've been
I,
trying. Well, one of the things I want to do is to do what Pinkbeard is saying, which is to take it out of the proto state and just release the information on the plants itself. So right now I'm back in school to get my degree in horticulture to be able to do that with a degree behind it because I do have the Obia side covered. I just don't have the Western side covered, which is the degree.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to everyone on the panel and in the chat. I know we always talk about Africa, as a monolith. I know it's thousands of different quote unquote spiritual systems or religions or whatever you want to call them. But I think with all of them and the traditional ones and stuff, whatever they worship, I think they know and they understand that it's just like energy principles and centers and different aspects of that nature. They know that they still have to put in the work and do the things that they want, whereas Christianity, these religions that was given to us, it's the complete opposite. It's a 180. And I once saw it was like a little video cartoon thing, and I've said it before on my live before, I know. But it was a guy and his friend. His friend was in the pool and the guy was, sitting on the edge, with his feet in the water. And the friend that was in the pool, he started drowning. And you know how, like when people are drowning, they'll go under and come up, as they're fighting, and like he would go under and then he would come up, he's trying to fight to stay afloat. And every time he would come up, he would say, "Oh God, help me." And then he would go down and he would come up and he would be like, "Oh Jesus, please save me, my Lord." You know, and that process kept repeating itself. And then finally some people from off the side jumped in and saved him. And when they pulled him out, his homeboy was still sitting there with his feet dangling in the water. And they asked him like, "Hey, why didn't you save your friend? You saw him right here drowning." And he said, "Simple, because he didn't ask me." You know, and
see, I'm
that hit hard as far as like with Christianity and other stuff.
I
I
have a question. Well, I'll let you respond and I'll ask.
Okay. I fully agree with that. It's something I don't understand fully either. Why I don't have a full thought on it, but I do understand what you're saying. I have observed it. I don't like that aspect of the situation. I just can't fully quantify. I can't grasp it. It's hard for me to come up with like full words on why we've adapted that mindset.
Oh no, I feel like I don't when it comes to like spirituality, I I don't think everyone well, I would speak for myself. I don't need spirituality. I don't need anyone, I don't need anything extra. Like if this plant does this thing and this is what is used to do, this is the benefits of doing it, this the pros, this the cons. Lay that out for me and I'll go with that. I don't need and I'm not knocking people being spiritual. I'm saying like not everyone. And this actually had nothing like it's my sidebar comments. Like spirituality is it, it's not no one's spirituality is universal or all encompassing. It's not these are cultural. These are group based, tribe based, exclusive. I can't do nothing with that. I don't need to search with I don't need a deeper understanding of spiritual meaning. I don't need any of that. I'm a good person because I choose to be a good person. When I do something for somebody else, it's because I want to do it. You know what I'm saying? I don't need there doesn't have to be an explanation outside of me of why I just did something that made another person feel fuzzy and warm on the inside. That's just me. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm gonna do. I don't like spirituality. It's like it's selfish in a way because people are spiritual and they're calling on uh I don't even want to call it a higher power. They're leaning on something outside of themselves. And when push comes to shove in anyone's spirituality, you got to do the work. There's no spirituality, there's no spiritual system where you can just do no work. You have to do everything that needs to be done. We got to do it. We got to be a team. We got to stand together. We got to build you know, spirituality. I don't know. I just, it's like it's adding extra steps for me when it's like, is if 1+1 is 2 and then that's what we going with. I don't really need well, and in this culture, we say 1+1 is 2 because of I don't know. I don't need it. I don't need it, but I do when it comes to African spiritualities. Because of the miseducation of Black people, because of how they have been demonized, I take it upon myself to look into them, to study them, to look into the historicity of them, to try to see, okay, this people or this group of people, this is not a God that they're talking about. They're just, like what you're saying, pattern recognition. I do my due diligence, and I'm going to make sure I look into that history. But even then, I don't need anyone's spirituality. But I do study them. But it's like they're still subjective. They're still exclusive. They're I'm it the things that I desire or want. I don't need spirituality to do those things. So I'm just not a spiritual person. But I feel like when people say that they're not spiritual, and I'm not talking about you, Everton. I'm just talking about the spiritual community. When I say things like what I just said, people will be like, "Oh, like, bro, I, I hold the door for just the things I do. The things that don't, but it's not spiritual. I just do it because I'm trying to coexist and live in this bubble with all of you people, and we get, you get more bees with honey, and I want to coexist. I want people to scratch my back. I'm gonna scratch your back. We need to help each other and come together as a team. I don't need spirituality to do that. And I think when you are too spiritual and the enemy comes, it's like, oh, they believe in a higher power. We'll give them one. Uh-oh. Who can give you need something? You need something outside of yourself to help you keep on keeping on. I'm about to give you something, and it's got my face on it. And I'm gonna add a theology and a doctrine on that face. Not only are you worshiping me, but even your liberation theology is for the advancement of my culture, of my religion, of my system to oppress you. And I'm like, this is what happens when you need something higher. You need some other stuff. Now you out here worshiping a dude that didn't exist from the Middle East. This is the domino. They knocked down the first domino, and it just keep going. Now we out here doing this, and I'm just saying, like, uh, I don't demonize people's spirituality, but I do think we got to get to a point where it's like, no, 1+1 is 2, because if you put two things together, you take one and put it together, that's 2, and that's all it is for right now. We ain't got nothing else for you right now. I don't have nothing else for you right now. If you need some extra steps to get to why you should feed the hungry, hey, that's your bag. I ain't got I wasn't raised like that. Or maybe it's not about your upbringing. Maybe it's just the way you see the world. I do the exact same thing that the spiritual community is doing, or whatever they're calling on an energy force to get them out of bed. I just get up.
I do want to let Fee ask her question really quickly. I want to say, like, I think spirituality opens the doorway for competition and hierarchy within the community as well. So then we're taking on the characteristics of supremacy culture so that we can gain proximity to white supremacy or societal statuses. So we look to oppress each other by saying, I'm more spiritual than you. You need to pay me so that you can get access to exclusive knowledge. Or, I have the secret so that you can have a more fulfilled life. Like it definitely opens doors for, um, in community competition, hierarchies, and exploitation. Go ahead, Fee.
I just wanted to ask, you said earlier, I think to Bash, that you have the obvious side of it and you're going for the horticultural, or the understanding the chemistry side of it. What happens when you learn the chemistry or the molecular compounds and the active ingredients of a specific plant, and your spiritual practice claims that it does something that you can't justify from the chemical side? What takes precedence? Because to Thinker's point, there is a certain level of hierarchy when it comes to these spiritual
Fee, you
practices.
sound we can't hear you. You sound
Oh, I'm sorry. Is this any better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, my bad. What happens when those two disciplines come in conflict with each other? Meaning you learn about the chemical makeup of this plant and you realize that your spiritual practice is claiming to do something that the compound doesn't justify that it does. So what there because my point is that there is a hierarchy in this, specifically in these closed systems. You have people at the top that are, I guess, purported to have this knowledge of a practice, or this knowledge of this hidden knowledge that comes with these spiritual practices. So what do you do then? Do you follow the chemistry? Do you follow the science? Do you accept what it shows, or do you hold on to those spiritual belief systems that you can't explain?
I follow the science. The only reason why I adhere to the spiritual part is because that's what I was introduced to first. So I said, let me try to actually go back and learn the fundamentals using the science and see why our people created the ritual behind it. And that was my goal, to understand the purpose of the ritual versus just doing the science. And what I came to understand is that a lot of people don't, not everyone is going to be interested in learning the science, but they'll partake in the ritual because that's the easier step. So I guess I don't know if our ancestors thought, well, by any means, who wants to learn the science can learn the science, and we call those the practitioners, and who just wants to use or apply the science, we'll just give them the rituals, and you take this amount of this and you put it in that, you wait for this amount of time, and then you apply or whatever. And I'm just trying to I've been trying to understand why we have all these different spiritual cultural dynamics, and break it down and reconstruct it and just leave the science. My focus is the science. I believe our people are very intelligent. We have created science technology. We've encoded it. And what I'm trying to do is just to decode the mysticism behind the things that we used to do and leave just the raw data. Because I haven't really seen anyone do that. And I have this thing where I keep asking spiritual people, why have we adopted a Western colonial religious um element into spirituality when spirituality was about problem solving? someone has an ailment, we figure out how to solve that ailment.
But if it were only, can you guys hear me now? Is this better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If it was only about solving problems and healing ailments, then why is that hierarchy required? Why is it a system of exclusion as opposed to inclusion? I think if, like to Bash's point about the fact that it's proto science, I agree with that. But I do think we can't ignore how it has been utilized, like in these communities. It's not been this shared panacea that's available to anybody. It has been a closed practice, and I think that needs to be recognized.
Well, I think that's because the European elements came in and made it as such. From the research I've done, none of it was ever a closed practice. It was available to the culture and the community. And then as outside influences came in and the religious dogmatism came in, it changed what it used to be into something else. And I'm not saying just European influences, there's Egyptian influences that I realized that Egypt had also a slight supremacist tinge to how they did things. I was reading this article where I'm not sure which period of Egyptian history. I have to do deeper dive, but they used to go into sub-Saharan Africa and steal from them, take their resources, bring it back to build their nations and their culture. And that was because they thought they were a higher class of people than those beneath them. So like, and a lot of black folks takes their concepts of culture from the Egyptians. So then they're taking in that supremacist ideology. Then the Europeans came in with religion. And I just think that we have lost the original observe your environment, figure out why things work aspect of what we used to call spirituality. Because when I was reading up on one of like just Ifa by itself, it's a type of philosophy, and it also involves binary numbers, and I'm just like, oh, that's fascinating. I just thought it was about worshiping some Orishas. So as I dug deeper into the origins of it, I realized that Orisha worship came with colonial worship, with the concept of deities and gods and etc. The original point of the Orishas was stories to talk about relationships, community, dramas, conflicts, and it was also a way to embody like if you wanted to have attributes of a certain Orisha, that's what the ritual is for. Is a way to train your mind into altering your personality or giving you that Orisha's confidence. Then they became gods and deities and were praying to them and giving them fruit and shit like they could eat.
Isn't there an initiation process though?
Yes, and I don't know when that started. I feel like that's a colonial thing because then it became banned and then it became underground and then people started to market it. And not in the sense of capitalism, but in the sense of, well, since it's banned and it's underground, you have to pay me to obtain the knowledge. Because prior to that, anyone could partake in the knowledge. We commodified the knowledge. Is that a better terminology for it?
But how are you ascertaining that though?
Just by reading the history and how the teachings were versus how it's being done now. I noticed there was a cultural difference in the understanding of the spirituality pre-colonization versus post-colonization.
I mean, I guess I'm a lot like Bar in that I don't need an ancient spiritual practice to tell me to be a decent person, right? Like if I know that a solution helps someone, then I'm going to be willing to help that person with that solution. And I guess just from a logical perspective, I think about it through this lens. If humanity progresses in all different disciplines, science, religion, ethics, technology, all of it is forward moving. why would we assume that that our progress hinges on spiritual practices that we have to guess at and kind of put together like a jigsaw puzzle that is actually looking backwards? Like that's the piece that I don't get, because for those of us who are more secular in the way that we engage with people, in the way that we think through things, even our customs, traditions, and practices, where is it that how is it that you think that this spiritual practice that you've identified has been colonized, has been, sanitized and whitewashed in a lot of ways? Why are you looking to that for forward progress when it's clearly very behind us?
Well, I'm not necessarily looking to it for forward progress. Growing up in a Western environment, I had no historical context of what blackness or black culture was. I was taught we did nothing. We were apes and monkeys and etc. So I was trying to understand the history of black people globally, and I came across the spiritual teachings and how they were very akin to early forms of science, alchemy, philosophy, physics, and etc. And I said, well, if Black children could learn this, they could understand that we contributed to the foundation of human civilization instead of what we were taught, which is we have no contribution. We were just savages in lands running around naked. So again, to me, to understand your history is crucial because everybody else understands their history or was allowed to keep it.
But that's our history in reality, not through spirituality. Like
Well,
that
yeah,
that
but
would
if
be
it's attached to us, it's a
what's
part
attached to
of
us.
the history, the spiritual stuff. All I'm trying to do is to get a fuller picture of blackness.
How is that different
I
from what Black Hebrew Israelites are doing, or Black Christians who say we are the Israelites, the chosen people in the Bible, like trying to find their identity and their history, like within the Abrahamic religions, Black identity is tied to these belief systems, and they do research, and we have the pseudo history and pseudo uh, scholars who, you know, create trails back to West Africa to tell Black people that, hey, this is your history. Like, how is that different? The need, not the information, but the need to be tied to uh, Ifa or voodoo because of Black identity.
Can I say one quick thing here? Because I feel like I'm hearing something that I think might actually be important. So sometimes I feel like I believe that if in the study of like anthropology, religions are important, right? Like if I want to study the history of a people, what those people thought about nature and the divine serves a real purpose, right? I feel the same way even about the Bible. Like one of the reasons that I don't just like burn all of them is because I feel like it's important to the history of the world that we know that Christianity existed, right? Or that it exists, and how people thought about certain things and how they use these doctrines to do good or bad, right? Like a lot of times people come up and be like, oh, well, Christians started all these hospitals and blah, blah, blah. And that's true, right? I don't want to, I can't erase that part of history. I also can't erase the part of history where Christians ate babies. You feel what I'm saying? So historically speaking, I think that those things are really important. Are you going? What are you doing? Okay. I think those things are really important, but to teach I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. To teach the practices may be regressive, right? To teach that it existed at a time, I think can be really, really important. Going to Everton's point, hey, these people use this thing at this time to get here, right? Like I know that we found penicillin from leaving a cheese sandwich out too long, right? I'm not going to suggest that you keep leaving your cheese sandwiches out that long, right? That's something, but that is a way that we discovered a thing, and I can't deny the fact that that is an actual way that we discovered an actual thing. But I'm not going to teach my children to leave your cheese sandwich out too long. Does that make sense when I say that? Like the analogy that I'm trying to make?
Yeah, but that's all that I'm doing. I'm just researching the information, cataloging it, creating a summary, and let whoever reads it take away what they want to take away from it.
That
I'm
I
not
can agree with.
suggesting
I
anybody
100%. I
What's
feel
become
like
a
those need to be.
practitioner.
Yes, I believe that those need to be cataloged. I think that that's important because you don't want to erase. I don't think it's wise to erase yourself from history in any way, right? And however you got to that point, even if it's messy, right? I think that's important to keep a memory of that, right? The other day I was telling somebody about how my grandma always, when I was a kid, she would give me like $2-3 every now and then, and she'd say that's to keep the hanks off you. And literally, I had no idea what that meant until I watched Sinners about a year ago, and I was like, wait, grandma, what's a haint? And she's like, oh, it's an evil spirit that get on you when you're having a bad day. And I was like, well, grandma, I never knew that. Where did you find out about haints? And she said, oh, my grandma taught me about that. Bro, not one day in my motherfucking life, right? Like I grew up quite Christian, like quite Christian, you right? But to connect to my great grandmother that way was really powerful to me. I like just that one sentence was really powerful to me. Like, oh, that's something that my great grandma said. That's beautiful, right? Now, not that I think that haints exist, right? But to have that as a piece of cultural reference, I think is really important. Am I making? I hope I'm making sense when I say all
Well,
this.
I think also too it's important that to note that like if you read the former enslaved narratives, not all of them believed in haints, not all of them believed in African spirituality. Some of them came from cultures that saw it as useless. So like not everybody, yeah,
Facts.
came from the same mindset or school of thought.
Correct, but it's also you still need to finish the picture. We have a fractured history. So all I'm trying to do is to fill in the parts that was never given to me. And it's different than religion and Christianity because that shit was made up. We know the origins of the religion and Christianity. Our spirituality is cultural. It's a cultural practice. That's why it's different dependent on your tribe, your region, etc., etc., etc. And the name, there is no name for it except for if you give it Obia or Ifa or whatever. But I think those are just new classifications. I don't know what they called it. All I can call it is what the language that's allowed to me to call it. I'm just trying to learn myself and my culture and then bring it into modern understanding. And let's say, hey, should we keep what makes sense, get rid of what doesn't make sense, and go forward with it? But
No,
I
yeah,
don't
I
believe
totally
in like gods
understand
and
that.
deities and all of that. I just want to understand what benefits this thing gave to our ancestors to allow them to get over certain trials and tribulations. And mine is slightly different because Obia was used in the islands as a liberatory practice. So I wanted to learn how that worked and how did it help. It's not
So
the only factor, but it's a factor that I was never introduced to. So I wanted to learn about it.
Bash said something. I want to touch on it. He said, I was waiting so long that I forgot what he said. But he said like people need to know Christianity existed. That's what that's what he said. And I 100% agree. But I do think that more black people, we need to know more about Eusebius than we do like the story of Adam and Eve and Noah's Ark. No, I think more black people need to know who Eusebius is versus knowing, oh, this was because when we look at any other god but this one, they go straight to, oh, Zeus was a Greek god, Baal was a this god, the Anunnaki, those are Sumerian gods, or the Ogun or Orisha, those are. And when we dealing with every other god, immediately we go straight to the cultural, the historical context, the anthropology. Oh, that's a god from X region. That's a god from this. And when it comes to the God of the Bible, people are, well, we're reading the Bible. No, do the same thing with this God. This is a God from the southern Levant. Ain't nobody's interpretation of the Bible gonna change that. And so I think more black people need to know that the first 400 to 500 years of Christian history is made the fuck up. Literally, the first couple centuries is straight fabricated, all of it. From who wrote it to the people to the stories to the events that it's made up. We don't know. We know John. We know Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We don't know Eusebius, the father of church history, who made all the extra biblical history. He made it all up. Comes from this guy in the 4th century. Black people don't know that. So I do think we do need to know that the religion has existed, but we need to know the external history of this thing so we can understand it's made up any way you look at it. But for so long we've been, well, why did God put Adam and Eve? No. During the time of antiquity, this God is a southern Midianite God. I just want us to be even playing field, because when people address other deities, they go straight to the people who made it up. But the Canaanite God, the Sumerian, this God needs to be treated the same way. So I do think, yes, people should know Christianity existed, but they need to learn and be educated on the things like that would be easy to touch on. Or it wasn't no Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. Jesus wasn't a real person. We can study the history of a religion without ever reading that theology, because there's an external timeline of events that has taken place that's not in the Bible. Eusebius ain't in the Bible.
Yeah, but
He's not in there.
I think you're overlooking the fact that people are dealing with an indoctrination, and in order for them to come out of the cognitive dissonance, like, you can tell them that Eusebius all day, but if they're indoctrinated into a theology, that you telling them about Eusebius ain't gonna matter. They already don't care that King James was gay, and they believe their God is against homosexuality. They're not going to give a damn. Like, the thing that we need to tackle is critical thought, and they've been indoctrinated into illogical thinking. And so you gotta help them see first that the thing that they is calling truth is illogical, and then you can get into the history. They're just gonna throw that, they're gonna throw that right out of their head. Like,
Yeah.
we ask them all the time, like, do you even care whether the people who wrote this, like, have you even looked into their lives? Do you know who wrote? Like, they believe that Moses wrote the Torah. And then when we go through the timeline with them of when Hebrew first existed, and that it's impossible for Moses to have written the Torah, they don't care. They don't throw the Bible away after that. They adjust, because they're indoctrinated into the actual theology.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. I agree. It's like that level of, like, well, I guess it's when I look at how people treat the Abrahamic religion, I'm talking about the people that believe it too. When I see just in general how we treat the Abrahamic religions, it's like they have like it's like a Abrahamic privilege where you don't even have to hear the word Midianite, Southern Levant. You'll never have to hear it. They like I'm just to the point where I'm like, I don't know how to
I mean, a lot of them lack
I
critical
guess
thinking skills.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they're not going
I
to
can't do
critically
it.
think. Like,
I
you
commend
saying,
y'all, because I can't sit up here and ask about Adam. I can't do it because I know
saying
they.
Eusebius to them, like, honestly, first off, there's many Eusebius, right? They could go and take what you say about Eusebius and research, and then find a different Eusebius and then throw it right over their shoulder. They're indoctrinated into and fear mongered into these theologies, and that's what you're gonna have to break down first before they ever give a damn about the history.
I think they. Because I believe that they know how to critically think. They just don't apply it to religion.
No, they don't.
Nah, they don't.
They
They
don't.
don't know how to. They don't know how to critically think. Religion has hindered them from learning that ability. You
Correct,
know,
because it becomes dogma.
yeah, it does. I mean, a bar the book literally
Man,
tells you not to critically think. You know, walk by faith, not by sight. You know, so yeah, they don't.
You got the
I
You
mean,
know,
even
my bad, fee.
I, I was just gonna say, I
so
think
how do
even
we?
if we,
I'm
I
sorry,
was just
my
gonna say,
bad.
I think no, you're good. I think if we critically think through even these spiritual practices, if you're saying that the our ancestors were tapping into some sort of power, then that same power left them stranded. That same power did not come to their aid. And if you're saying that the collective idea of community collaboration, working together, figuring things out from a systematic perspective, we can do that now without looking back. So even with that, I think if we think through it critically and we're trying to move our communities forward and we're trying to figure out how we can, take care of each other and make this planet better and, do all the things that we want to see done. I just don't know where we're going to find that in the rearview mirror. And if we're critically thinking through it, then we can use the tools that we know today, look at the lessons that we've learned from how things have gone in the past and figure out how we can propel ourselves forward.
like the religions, the Abrahamic faith was used to reinforce these power structures in society. And so, like, just saying, hey, your God is fake, that's not going to get rid of the indoctrination of patriarchy, the indoctrination of white supremacy, the indoctrination of, I don't, what do you call it when, is it ageism? When adults think that they have power over a child, it's just ageism. And the
Is it
harm that
reverse ageism?
I,
I
I
guess
don't
so.
know. Yeah, I don't know what it's called, but and it's something that we don't address, especially in the Black community. The way we see our children as like they are to be seen and not heard. They have no autonomy, right? And religion did that, and so like we can tell them all day that their God was made up. Eusebius was a liar. Eusebius, you know, believed that it was okay to lie in order to further the religion, but they still don't know how to critically think. They don't know, like their literacy and comprehension is low. They are still indoctrinated into patriarchal ideals that is founded on their religious indoctrination, right? And that is what we have to break down. That from the theological perspective. Like when I first started deconstructing, I Yahweh, okay, who gives a fuck? I never talked about Yahweh in church anyway. But Jesus and Christ was deep down in my heart. And it took
Mm.
for fucking ever to get that thing out. Even though I would say I'm not a believer anymore, that was still there. Right? Like so it's gonna take more than just saying, hey, your God was made up. I think that
Well,
that's an important part of the conversation. But I don't think that that is the only part of the conversation.
because like it's not even just that like telling someone that their God is made up. It's like there's literally you know there's physical historical evidence that it's made up, and it's like I'm pretty much like okay, look, uh, you can literally um follow the trail, like follow the. I would just say, I'm gonna use the term paper trail for lack of a better term. You can follow the paper trail of every religion, every deity, every all of this stuff. You can literally trace it back. And I'm just simply saying, hey, look, when we trace it back, this is what we find. X, Y, Z. This is if you
Yeah,
start in the
we do
year
that in
X,
here all the time. They don't give a damn. It's faith over fact.
Yeah, they
They
don't. Yep.
don't care.
because from my experience of trying to read from my experience of trying to like I guess read the Bible to them, it's like uh I don't know, I just feel like they the Bible is their that's what they run to as well. It's like if you bring up a scripture that shows something doesn't make sense in X, they'll just bring up another scripture because it's full of contradictions. In every verse, you could literally almost find a verse that contradicts it. They'll just pull up the other verse that even though the story of two people populating the entire earth don't make sense. All things can be done through Christ, and Jesus, God is all powerful, so He
This
can do
is
whatever
where
He wants.
critical thinking comes in and logic. Like the conversations have to go deeper than that. And
Yeah,
one of the things that we do in here is we don't allow them to drag us across the whole Bible. If we're focused on a point, we stay on that point, which is why the conversations get heated because they're used to just flipping and flopping and dragging people all and gaslighting and dragging people across the Bible. We don't do that. And we
yeah,
focus on historical culture, archaeological data, right? Linguistical context to help them break out of that cognitive dissonance. That the thing is that you can't ignore or skip that step because they're still going to have that cognitive dissonance where they're going to look at society and still try to hold two contradicting beliefs about the world around them,
I
regardless if you
also
tell them
think
that
that
their God was made up. Go ahead, Fee.
Absolutely. I also think that we have to remember that for people who have been indoctrinated, facts are going to be filtered through their identity. Like we don't have that filter because I think as folks who have deconstructed from religion, people who are critical thinkers, those of us who are willing to, I say all the time, hurt me with the truth before you comfort me with a lie any day. But for a believer whose identity, whose family, whose sometimes their support system, their financial system, all of these things, I don't know that they realize that they are engaging in this cognitive dissonance in the way that they're filtering these facts and these pieces of information. So sure, they can read this information about whoever it is in the Bible, like years, dates, they can have it probably in Jesus's handwriting. But because it is tied to so much that they value, i.e. who they are, it's where their worth comes from is so many additional layers that have to be worked through from the standpoint of who they are internally before we can get to the information that they're rejecting.
Yeah.
And then they
And-
usually ask
no,
that question that Timely Rain is asking right now. Well, what's next? What's the alternative? What am I supposed to believe in next? What are y'all suggesting? Because they're so used to groupthink, they don't know how to think for themselves, and that's the thing that we are, helping people do, like teaching. They a part of the customer avatar for this religion was unlearned. Like and Celsus wrote in 248 AD that they targeted uneducated, foolish, confident men. If you had any education whatsoever, you could not join the cult. So they wanted people who wouldn't question, who didn't have any type of formal education or logical thinking, because they didn't want people to poke holes in whatever theology they had taped together. And so if we're still seeing that customer avatar um, have it today in 2026. And so when you're talking about 2000 years of demonizing knowledge, demonizing critical thinking, demonizing skepticism, demonizing logic, like they will literally tell us that their God is illogical. And they won't care. We have Black Christians who literally will say, if God tells me that I have to go back into slavery, I will go. That, like, they're taking
mm,
away the God
whew,
ain't gonna take away the
shit,
mindset.
no.
Like that, they need to these we need to reinforce critical thinking and increase critical thinking in
Can I
our
ask a quick
community.
can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
What about those who have higher education and like Divine Nine people, the black fraternities, sororities, lawyers, scientists? Because a lot of them still are Christians, subscribe to the religion, the book, and the dogma, but are very educated.
Well, I'm talking about they still lack critical thinking when it comes to this
exactly.
God.
Bingo.
And I'm talking about what the early avatar was for Christianity. That still has not changed. Later, they did start allowing educated people to enter the cult. And then, if you were educated, then you were promoted to like a leadership. If you look at the early Black Christian movement, like the what our ancestors who were enslaved, the God that they were introduced to is a very different God than what what we know today. They didn't. Half of them never heard of Jesus. Half of them never heard the word God. And the only things that they were taught was obey your masters, don't steal, um, be obedient slaves, and love God or love Jesus. That's it. Like if you read their narratives, they don't know shit about this Bible. They don't know. They one um uh interview was like, I ain't never heard of a Jesus. Like they were not taught the way that about this God the way that we are taught today, and they call that the silent church. And then it was reinterpreted through Black liberation when Black people started to see that they could use this God to galvanize for Black freedom, for the abolishment of slavery. And so you start to get different interpretations. Um, uh, Hermeneutics used on like the Sermon at the Mount, in order to get Black people to see Jesus as a social justice warrior, to fight social justice issues. And then so they also have this loyalty to the God through that as well, because we cannot deny what the religion has done for our ancestors who were in slavery as they were fighting for freedom through that reinterpretation of this God and through the civil rights era. So we can't deny that. And so it feels like a betrayal for them to even think critically when you are asking these questions. They could be well educated, but when you begin to poke at what helped our ancestors through slavery and through civil rights, all critical thinking goes out the door, because you're betraying ancestors, you're betraying tradition, you're betraying the culture.
I mean, just think about how intertwined religion is to Black culture. I don't know that we think about the things that our norms, the call and response, the things that our shared experience, what makes our culture. In having these conversations, we are chipping away at that very foundation, and that's terrifying for a lot of them. So yeah, there are people who are secularly educated. There are people who are brilliant in their respective fields, but that doesn't change the fact that cognitive dissonance can be present on certain topics. And I think religion is one of them, because you have to realize how much is interwoven in that one idea, like this one idea of God, this one idea of Jesus. It carries so much historical and cultural baggage for Black people. That's why I think the cognitive dissonance in this realm is something that is going to be really, really hard to break through.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I
Everton,
agree.
and
I agree.
just because and just because you're quote unquote educated, through the school system and stuff, doesn't necessarily all the time transfer to the ability to critically think. That just means you're very good at reading books or
Remembering.
articles, and and answering questions. You're very good at remembering, recycling information. That's kind of different from critically thinking, especially when you're presented with scenarios and questions that you didn't even know to ask or think about. And it is terrifying. And and like, because I get it. And like the historical origins of things and stuff, for the most part, to most people, you know like, they don't care about that, and it's kind of boring to them. So yeah, so and especially when they've been ingrained with the Bible since birth, and so everything is the Bible. So yeah, you have to,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get it. You have to be able to pick passages out the Bible and stick with them, and then transfer them to real world scenarios and stuff.
yeah.
Just like they do the same thing when they're trying to use it for selfish reasons and for their gain, pastors and everything. So you got to do the same thing with, it's kind of like coddling a baby.
Yeah.
Man,
I think about.
there is a South African doctor by the name of Dr. Nandifa Magudama, I think that's her name. She fell in love with a guy who was in jail named Tybo Bester. and he literally manipulated her through using God. God sent you to me. You are the best of God. I pray every day, blah blah blah, because she was a believer. And when I tell you, he took her ass down through there. She was a celebrity doctor, had multiple businesses, very successful. Um, but because he kept using God, uh, to convince her that she was there to help him and believe that he was innocent, he was able to get this control over her to the point to where she ended up helping him escape prison. She left.
Escape.
Yes. She went to the morgue and was, getting bodies from the morgue, signing her name on them so that they could find a body that they could burn in the cell so that the prison guards would think he burned in his cell. And then she went back to her house, her mansion. They just lived in the mansion. She left her kid. When they found out that he was not dead, they he convinced her to leave, to flee, and she left her kids behind. Like even in court, she up there she done fixed her face up. Like she done got caught. She done ruined her fucking life. She done fixed her face up. He walks in the courtroom. She's smiling at him, and she grabs his hand like it, because God put you in my life, and this is a doctor.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I can't wrap my brain around that. That's crazy.
I mean that the shit that we I don't this is what I was saying at the beginning of the conversation. I don't think the black church has actually taken an inventory of what the indoctrination has actually done to the mental health, to the cognitive abilities of our people across the diaspora. I was watching a balloon pop today. A girl literally popped a balloon because a guy said, "Yeah, I believe in God, but I'm not religious." And she popped a balloon and he asked her why. She goes, Jesus is my everything, and if a man is going to lead me, he has to let Jesus lead him first. I want to be led by a man. And I'm like, what the entire fuck?
Now that you say, it sounds like a mental illness.
It is. And it don't matter how educated you are. Hell, I was educated and I was a fucking missionary. I was preaching this shit. And it wasn't me learning that the God wasn't real. It was me reading the Bible. It was me studying it, studying the history, trying to validate the claims that I was told about who Jesus was, about who the Israelites were. Like looking at the history, looking at archaeology data, learning that a lot of these stories were mythology. I think that the thing that really, really convinced me was the fact that the Israelites being in Egypt as slaves was a lie. That just the fact that they were in Egypt as slaves, learning that was a lie.
Yeah, that's the one. Because if the story happens in chronological order, and and the very first major event is not even real, it's like, well, where do we go after this?
Yeah, it wasn't even about the chronological order for me. It was just about the lie, and that's what made me go deeper. I'm like, holy shit, that ain't true. And that's what made me go deeper. Like the order doesn't even fucking matter to me. It's the claims of the religion itself, right? Like I'm I've always questioned shit. And I think we also have to pay attention to when we were children and we were critical thinkers and we were asking questions because shit wasn't lining up. When we were kids, what the fuck happened to us? What did our mothers and our grandmothers do for asking questions?
You
Yep.
see, because my
They put that belt to ass.
Belt to ass. You a
Belt
demon.
to
Satan the Lord
ass.
rebuke you. Right? Like we got in trouble for asking questions. So we did it. Our generation of indoctrinated millennials and Gen Zers, like we were it was beat into us so bad that we don't even trust our own decision making abilities. We don't trust our own minds.
Wow.
Yeah, that literally happened to me multiple times. I remember one time when I was younger, I went to my mom and I said, well, if God said, that thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not unalive, then
You can say kill if
how
you have to.
come police? Yeah, I know you can. It's just hey, trauma. Like oh crap.
Oh.
But yeah, so I said, if God said that, then how could police officers do it? And nothing happened. You know, and she just didn't know how to answer that, and then I got a whooping. And literally while she was whooping me, she said, "Don't question God." She kept repeating that, "Don't question God."
Wow. Yep.
And
Man, I never questioned. I never see. I was in there all the way. We didn't do no questioning. It wasn't. It wasn't none of that going on. I'm talking about. I was full fledged. I didn't. It wasn't a doubt in my mind. Jesus wasn't real. You couldn't. You couldn't have. Man, you couldn't have told. You couldn't have told me nothing like this. I never questioned my. I never ever thought to question my faith in Jesus ever. I didn't know that. I did not know that atheists were a thing until I was in my 20s. I never heard of that. I never knew. I never like. I was, man, you talking about under a rock. I'm like Patrick Starr. Like I never heard of none of this stuff. And then out of nowhere, somebody just, because I've always been, I was the kid growing up that I just would always ask 100 questions, and I never questioned my religion though, ever, never, ever. Man, somebody sat me my deconstruction, it motherfucker was like 30 minutes. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that this stuff might not be true? I immediately said, well, I'm gonna withhold belief until I figure it out. And I took myself home and I got on my computer and get to digging. I'm like, nah, I'm good. It ain't take me no time. But prior to that event, I'm talking about, I was jumping jacks for Jesus for real. I was in the play. Listen, growing up, I was at church every single day, every day. Like people
Mm.
say it, but we was in that motherfucker I still listen. I have these flashbacks where I can smell the gymnasium of the church we went to. That's how we was in that motherfucker every day. Every day. I just, oh my
and you,
God,
and you
I
get
don't know how.
and you get and that's another large reason of how and why we're so attached to it emotionally and stuff without even forget knowing about the history of it. Without y'all know, most Christians don't even read the book. They don't know what's in the book. So
Mm-mm.
so since birth, you know, you know, your mom and your dad, that those your parents, those are your gods or whatever. Everything they're doing and stuff, you imitate them and stuff. And then growing up, you're imitating them, and then they take you to this building where everyone is crying and shouting about this God and stuff. And so you just automatically start doing the same things and shouting the same things that they're shouting, not really understanding it. And after a while, that just becomes your identity. And without even reading mostly what's in the book. And we know, like us, we don't read the book. We know the same couple of scriptures that pastors recycle every other Sunday, and then turn them into motivational speeches to get your money. Like that old stereotype. You want to hide something from a black person, just put it in a book. Hey, to a certain extent, man, it's kind of true. Like, cause we got to get out of that mindset. I'm gonna say this, and like, I know it's a while ago. Dreadful said that, hey, on here, one came up to the live, and he got him to deconstruct right there. When he introduced the Leviticus 25, passage to him, 44 to 46, and he saw that and he was like, "Oh no, I can't get down with a God that literally condones this. Nah, I'm out."
And that's not the case for every black Christian. You would think so, but no, They don't, they fight hard not to see that the same institutions that was established in this in ancient Israel is the same institutions that was established through the transatlantic slave trade, because they really believe they're in relationship with this God. And I think that one thing that we have to keep in mind is that everybody's deconstruction journey isn't going to look like ours, because everybody's uh relationship with whatever deity they believe in didn't look like ours, right? And you're right, like they don't read the book because they're being told that they've outsourced the reading, the critical thinking to people who they think have more knowledge or more anointing than them. And so they are being told narratives through the eyes or the lens or understanding of other people, of pastors, of parents, of missionaries, evangelists, along with fear mongering and promises of uh blessings, right? And so that what they understand is completely different than what we understand. And what they've tied their identity to is completely different than what we've tied our identity to. So we have to keep that in mind as well.
I also think we have to. That's why these conversations are important, because, like, to Bar's point, like, you wonder, like, how could you not research these claims? Well, none of us know what we don't know. So there will be some of us who, as soon as we hear it, we're like, oh, I didn't think about that question before, and it sends us down a rabbit hole. So it's important to have these conversations, to ask a person, a believer who is pushing back against the critical thought, who's pushing back against the concept of questioning God. What would be different than, how is this any different than you about to, buy a house? You would get it inspected. You would have that house looked over with a fine tooth comb before you made this investment into purchasing this home or a car or even a relationship. Like, you look into a person's history, you look into the claims that they're making about who they are in the same way you look into the claims made about the reliability of a car. How is this any different? And why would you not go to even more extremes for something that you have built your entire identity and life around, and your actual post death eternity hangs in the balance for, right? Like, I think those types of just logical questions will be the only way to chip the armor of those whose armor can actually be chipped, because there will be some who won't. Like, there will be some people, like Harriet said, she had to leave some people behind. There will be people who will never deconstruct. There will be people who will never have civil conversations about the issues with this book, or even accept that it says what it says. And we have to be willing to accept that as well.
I agree.
I,
Like
yeah.
it wasn't an
Mm.
easy thing for me. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not like Bar. It wasn't easy for me because I did believe that I was in relationship with this God. I did believe that I was special to this God. I did convince myself that this God was answering my prayers. I spoke in tongues. I preached. I did all of that stuff, and so it was not a easy deconstruction process for me. I was disappointed. My heart was broken. I had a lot of anxiety as I was deconstructing because I had to learn to trust myself because I had been raised to second guess my own decisions because every time that I would get in trouble. I would get yelled at. I would get called demonic, rebuked as Satan. And so I grew up, asking this God why he created me with a mind that asked logical questions, that was asking the type of questions that was getting my ass in trouble, that was creating contention in my household, that was making me and my mama not get along. So I had to like overcome all of that. Like deconstruction is it's like it's more than just saying that the God isn't real. And I think like one thing that irritates me a lot, like besides non-thinking people or ignorant people, willfully ignorant people, is I don't like it when atheists say that the Bible isn't valuable or necessary because the shit is being used in our society right before our eyes and a lot of people fucking miss it. And then we are, instead of us being proactive because we know what our oppressors know, we are reactive because we think reading is unnecessary. Like we don't, a lot of us don't know shit about reconstruction, because we think African American history is a waste of fucking time because it's already happened. History is boring, but they're fucking using Reconstruction right now before our eyes. And like I said, I've been saying this shit since 20 fucking 20. That when they're saying that the black households medium income by 2035 will be negative $0, and I've been screaming this since 2017, and you see them laying off black workers, black federal workers, and replacing them with white workers. That's the same shit they did during Deconstruction. And black people can't find jobs today. That's the same shit they did during Reconstruction. And what they're gonna do is push you to that negative zero, to where you'll be working for white people for a little bit of nothing, or be like that. Like the what they're using is the Joseph Egypt narrative of the economic turnover, so that whatever wealth you have built up, they're going to switch hands, because you can't earn a dollar anymore. You're going to be hungry, so you're going to end up selling yourself and any motherfucking amount of money, and working for them for fucking pennies, so that the power goes back in their hands, the land goes back in their hands, the wealth goes back in their hand, whatever you think that you've built up. But because we don't study their fucking playbook and we think it's a waste of time, we are always playing catch up.
I've been asking Christians that come on E's panel, what are they gonna do when the powers that be switch the religion into something different? Because they have a separate, in my opinion, they have a separate set of understanding that they teach in their congregations than what we teach in ours. But I'm seeing that, like you said, they're gearing up for something. Well, they're gearing up for a change in the economy. And I've been asking the Christians, the black Christians, like, what are you going to do when they take away access of this deity from you?
I don't think they will. That's the thing. Like they don't want black people to deconstruct because it's what's keeping their money. Black people have 1.6 trillion dollars or $7 trillion worth of buying power. And when black people say, "Oh, they hate us because we the chosen," or they hate us because we got souls and they don't, or they hate us because we got melanin and they don't. No, no, no. You are their money. You are their money.
That would be like that would be like benching your greatest. That would be like benching LeBron James. Why would they
Yeah,
do that?
yeah.
This works for them. It is very effective for them. And I don't know that
Mm.
there would be anything that's more effective. So even if they switch up how they use it, the utility of it for controlling our community, it doesn't need to be edited at all.
Yeah, I was just thinking like it's literally on autopilot. They don't have to do anything now. We're gonna do it. We're
Yeah.
gonna alienate. We're gonna alienate it, ostracize. Oh, you ain't Christian, or you get treated like you said you ain't black or something. Yeah, that's it's on autopilot for them now. They don't have to do anything. Why would they? Why would they tell us we can't do this no more when this is like? I mean, it's the work. The work is literally being done. They just sitting back collecting.
I would say you guys are correct. I was thinking more so as the society changes, the values change, the white structures change, they implement more of the robotics, the automation, the AI. Reality would look kind of different. I feel like right now they have this plausible, oh, God is, God does everything mindset. But as technology increases and genetic engineering and all of that stuff becomes more mainstream, whenever that happens, I feel like the only people that's still going to be subscribing to this would be us. But the power structures that created it are going to be functioning differently, utilizing the new system. I don't know if that's making sense.
No, I agree with you, and that's part of the reason that they're saying that the average black household will have negative $0 medium income. But what do we always hear from the black community? Suffering is what?
Holy.
Exactly. They're
It's
just gonna,
fair.
yeah, they're just gonna look at it like it's a part of uh their journey in
Right up
commerce.
past, I didn't even think about that because
Yeah.
it's been
I
my
think
concern. I keep asking them, you're going to be left behind. Like everyone is going to modernize and like go into new economies, and you guys are going to be stagnant.
But yeah,
I
we
don't
running
know.
around here singing, talking about I'd rather have Jesus more than silver and gold. Man, no. Run me my coins, man. Run me my silver and gold.
Run me my shekels.
And mind you, it was a black man who
Not
wrote that.
shekels.
It was a black man who wrote that, who got us singing "I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold." And we shouldn't even be surprised that a Christian from Kenya said that, "Hey, it's Kenyans' fault. We didn't know what to do with the gold. The white man did better with the gold." And God told us that we're supposed to be storing our treasures up in heaven. And then we got black men writing, "I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold. No fame or fortune, no whatever." Until I don't know the fucking song no more. But like, we're literally reinforcing that shit in our own community.
I still know it.
I also think that on a certain level, it's all already happened because white churches have a very different Jesus than black churches. So
Yep.
when you say what happens when it evolves for them, it already has, right? Like we may see a few steps in that direction from the black church, where you have those that are more inviting to queer folks and members of the LGBTQIA community. You're seeing women preachers, but you see this deviation already happening. White people utilize this belief system in a very different way than black people, and because of the fact that it's become so interwoven into our culture and our identity, it's really, really going to be difficult, if not fucking impossible. Me and Thinker talk all the time about how hopeless this work feels sometimes, these conversations feel. And we know they're not, right? But it does feel that way. But I don't know if that thought will ever be taken out of that stew.
White people were given their God from a place of dominance, blessings, right? Wealth. And we were given our God from a place of discipline and survival.
That's a bar right there.
I
That's
done
a bar.
when I got a little older, I started being around more white people, and I started going to white church. White church is not that's different than black church. White church, it felt like a rock concert.
Yeah.
It's a production. It's theater.
It's upbeat. You have been it's like a Katy Perry concert. It's upbeat. Like it's like a disco. Black church, it's not the same. I be ready to, man. Whoa, freedom. Whoa, freedom. Whoa, freedom over me. I'm telling you.
I'm
White church,
going up to y'all.
I never understood it because I had a different, like, slight. They tried to force Christianity on me when I was in my like early teens. So like a decade plus a few years of just living with no religious system whatsoever. And then when they put me in the church, I'm like, this don't make sense. This makes sense to you guys? And they started to call me an atheist. But I'm like, I don't even know what that is either. But this book does not make sense. How do you guys subscribe to any of this? And I didn't really get in trouble for it because my family, it's weird. Like my second stepmom's family is super religious, but my family don't really care about nothing like that. So I feel like we were cosplaying religious people for her benefit, but her family tried to force it on me, and I kept saying none of this makes sense. Why do you believe this? How can you believe this? We're all from the island. We have our own systems. What is the purpose of this? Who gave this to you? So I've never understood it. And then the songs were very depressive, and I kept asking them, why would you want to be viewed as as a wretched person? I don't even understand what that's about. And it would be the most uncomfortable Sunday rides going back home because I always got in trouble in Sunday school for asking basic questions.
And
when I
it literally causes us to, and when I say us, I'm just talking about black people in whole, not literally us on the panel and stuff. But it literally causes us to like worship white people without us realizing it. You know, like we know now, like if we go to all black churches throughout the country and stuff, and just simply take the pictures of white Jesus down and the other white figures and stuff from the
Boy,
Bible,
they
and
lose
just
their mind.
yeah, if we just replace them with black people, yeah, they gonna hey, they
They'll
gonna stop
lose
going.
their mind. Look,
Mhm.
you might not make it back here alive. Real talk. No, for real,
No, seriously, yeah.
brother.
It man, it hurts me deeply. Like, you know, like every year, like my mom, you know, I don't she you know, she almost 80. She, you know, sweetest lady ever, but you know, it is what it is. She deeply indoctrinated. And she told me that, you know, she don't know what's mostly in the book. It's just, you know, she was taught it and stuff, and you know, coming up through, you know, the 60s and all that, we know how times was and stuff. But like every year around Christmas time and stuff, she loved to decorate her yard and stuff, and she put up all of the little they're like kind of big statues, and like you can put lights inside of them and they light up and stuff. And she put out the nativity scene and some other characters and stuff from the Bible, and of course they're all white. And I remember one year I went and I asked her, like, Mama, why don't you, if I can find some, you know, these same images and stuff but just with black people, would you let me take them up and just put the other pieces down with the black people? And you know, like she, man, I damn near had to get out of Dodge. She started throwing pins and stuff at me. You know, she's like, hell no. Like,
You see, because
it's
they tell
sad.
us, I was told you gotta suffer like Christ did. But see, when I went to the white church, everybody got on jeans and Skechers with the short sleeve, plaid shirts with the cigarette pocket. They was saying that Jesus suffered so that we could have all the XYZ that we got. Black church now, the joy of the Lord is your strength. You supposed to suffer, bear your cross, nigga. Yeah, take your lashes like he took his. With the white church, they don't be falling out on the floor crying. No,
No.
they, hey, you. That's just like a mosh pit for real. Like it's literally like a rock concert. Everybody got the number one dad shirts. They got a short sleeve shirt tucked in with the jeans. The black church, everybody got on suits like a funeral. The white church, they're dressed for a tailgate.
There's New Balance everywhere, huh?
They they're
We
comfortable as hell and
hey,
stay in
listen,
church 45 minutes and we be
I,
in there all goddamn
All
day.
damn day.
Uh,
man, look
You
here.
know what's so crazy
White
though?
church is 30 minutes.
You know what's so crazy though? Like a lot of African believers that I talk to say when they first came to America, they were asking, why do white people don't go to church? And I said that didn't like make you raise an eyebrow that they over there in your land telling you that you need this God, it's essential, and then you get over here and they don't go to church, they go to football games on Sundays. Like that don't make
That,
you raise an eyebrow?
I
that's
never even thought
diabolical
about it.
work. That is
And
diabolical.
the ones that do use this God in the same way that black people use this God ain't got shit. They poor as hell. They are the ones that are on the same socioeconomic level as disenfranchised folks. So if you see that this is what follows allegiance to this God, and the only people that it benefits are the ones that have convinced you that you need it, I'm not sure why we're still having this conversation.
Because they start telling themselves, oh, this is another reason why I think black Christians are more comfortable talking to white atheists in these spaces, like these debate spaces or discussion spaces. You'll see them line up to talk to white atheists because they think that white people um, don't believe in God because this ain't their God. Because they start telling themselves, oh, they don't go to church because we're the chosen. They hate us because we're the chosen. This is our God. It was in Africa first. Like they start telling themselves a different narrative. So it doesn't matter.
I seen a post on Threads, and I had to screenshot it because I'm like, the lady in the comments of the post was like, people still think God is white. And I'm just like, oh my God, if only she knew. But it's so true. They think that they are
The
worshiping some
Israelites.
separate. Like, no, you worshiping the
And
Father.
I have a hypothesis about the Jesus. And the Jesus is whenever you have more than one Jesus, just because I don't want to say Jesus is kind of like octopuses, you just don't say that, so you call it octopi. The Jesus exist as cultural relics, right? Because that's all a religion can ever really be, is a cultural relic, right? A religion is just a cultural technology. It gives a face and a name to your culture, right? It's so no different than like where I'm from. If you really mean something, you might put it on folk now, or you might put it on boo, or you might put that on baby or whoever, right? And baby represents the truth. He is a egregore of truth in your neighborhood, right? Or if I say, "Oh, my mama represents the truth in my neighborhood," right? You're not supposed to lie if I put it on those things, right? That's important. Not that you won't lie if you put it on those things, but as an egregore, it represents certain values of your community, right? And every one of the Jesus, or the many Jesuses, I don't like that word. Let me go back to Jesus. Every one of the Jesus represent the culture that created that Jesus. And Black Jesus does exist. Black Jesus is an egregore of Black culture, and Black Jesus carries with it a lot of anti-Blackness, but also a lot of Black pride. Black Jesus represents the bulk of our struggles, and which is why when we sing the Black Jesus, we sing in desperation, and we scream, and we yell, and we cry, and we lay out, because Black Jesus represents that amount of help, right? Our songs carry a certain sense of urgency, right? I need you right now, God. Like it's a very like, hey, you know my struggles, and you will help me. Right? White Jesus doesn't work that way. White Jesus is explorer, colonizer Jesus. White people sing songs about going into distant lands. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters. Right? It's exploratory Jesus. It's, let me go colonize some more shit Jesus. But that's because it is a relic of the community itself. And because they have the same name Jesus, we treat it as if we are worshiping the same deity, but we're not. These deities have completely different personality types. They want completely different things. And the fact that we learned Black Jesus from white Jesus means that a part of that relic is white supremacy. Did that make any sense? I know I said a lot right there. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
It did.
absolutely, yeah, spot
There was
on.
a guy last night who said that there's two Jesus in the Bible,
There's said it was
and
6
I
or
was like,
7.
yeah, I was like, how is that a thing? So we asked him to elaborate, and then he was taking other characters and turning them into the Jesus. And I'm like, but that doesn't that can't work that way. But in their mind, we call them Build-A-Bear Christians. They just build in their own version of the religion.
Well, I mean, there are like 6 or 7 different Jesuses in the Bible, and but there's like billions of Jesuses on earth, because
Right.
everybody is reading this text and building their own Jesus in their mind. But the writers of the New Testament did the same thing. Paul's Jesus is the early writings of Paul, his Jesus is very different from the institutionalized Jesus of the pastoral writings when they were organizing the religion. Then you have the Jesus of Matthew, who is very different than the Jesus of Mark. The Luke's Jesus is the social justice Jesus that most Black believers cling to. And then you have John's Jesus, which is a different Jesus. Like they all have different agendas, came for different reasons, um, teach different things. Like they're even today, like when you talk to one believer, they don't believe the same thing as the next believer that's gonna come on stage.
Yeah. What he said was he believes that the Jesus that was crucified was switched out with the real Jesus. So the real Jesus survived and was never crucified. and he became John the Baptist, and that's where he lost everybody.
He was drunk.
Yeah.
I've heard this theory before, but not that
Perk
way. It went to
10.
John the Baptist. Not that it went to John the Baptist,
Yeah,
but
that's where
yeah.
he lost us. And I was like, how did, but that person has a whole like origin story and everything. How did you make that correlation?
But it don't matter. At some point, like when you the because religions are social relics, like your culture kind of leaves you room to play with this. Unlike most other stuff, like hard sciences, you can't really play with it. There's certain rules that you just have to go by. Theologies can be very, very um, kind of like philosophies, right? Like you can take any position in philosophy, and then your whole point in taking that position is that you can't prove it wrong, thus it is right.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why like a lot of those philosophical conversations, all they really saying is you can't disprove what I'm saying, thus what I'm saying must be right, and that's not how truth works in any way. But so you get these kind of little sub pockets of ideologies that are meant to kind of super empower the listener. And one of the ways we feel super empowered is by knowing a secret, right? Like because we feel like we are privy to some little secret about Jesus that the rest of the world don't know. I.e., like all my BHI friends, right? Like, oh, see, I know this one little secret about the Bible that you don't know, and that makes me special. But bro, you can take that secret, write it on paper, and take it to the bank. You're gonna be just as broke when you leave as when you came, right? But it makes you feel empowered, right? And when you are practically powerless, you seek to find power in things like that, where you can just kind of make yourself the source of power, or at least attach yourself to the source of power. That's what I was really trying to fuss about, the fact that this book does not concern West African people at all. That like this is not your source of power. This is not your source of origin, right? So that we can begin to develop an origin story that is first and foremost realistic, um, that can really empower the minds of today to search out information that can be useful, because only true information is practical, right? So that the minds of the day, but there is a certain I don't know, like just perceived benefit in like a cultural fairy tale, right? Like there is I can't get away from that. That's actually true. There's a certain, like, cultural fairy tales are important, right? Like they galvanize people, they encourage people. Um, but not, I feel like at this point it's hard to make one because we're so scientific in nature. Like it's like I can't make up a god right now to give y'all, like that would be crazy, right? But there is a certain benefit to having a cultural fairy tale because it does teach parts of your culture that you don't have to beat into people, that you don't have to like say out loud. It's just kind of understood in the culture. Like Christianity is white supremacy. It's just understood in the culture. I don't have to say it. It just behaves that way. But I think we're just past the time of creating new cultural fairy tales. It's a weird place to be to me.
Everton, I am gonna move on and bring up another guest. Did you have anything else that you want to say before I drop you down?
No, that's okay.
All right, thank you so much. It was a great conversation. I appreciate you for getting us started off and participating. I know we kept you up here for a while, but we got to cover a lot of things, and so I appreciate you.
No problem. Take care.
All right, have a good one. All right, if
Everton is such a strong ass name.
it
A
is,
nigga
isn't
named
it?
Everton know something. You know what I'm saying? You ain't never met a nigga named Everton that didn't know something.
That right. It sounds like wealth.
It sounds like you in trouble when here come Everton. Oh fuck. Put the shit down. Everton coming.
All right. If you are a believer in the God of the Bible, deconstructing, an atheist, a skeptic, if you are a believer in Islam, a Hebrew Israelite, Judaism, any type of believer across the African diaspora, we want to talk to you. If you are a skeptic, if you are agnostic, if you are an atheist, deconstructing, we would like to talk to you. The topics for today, the mods have been periodically putting the topics in the chat for me so that you guys will know what the topics are, because I tried to be fancy and my letters are so small. But topic one is, let's discuss the impact of Black faith in the Black community. We want to know, like, have you taken an inventory of what this God, this faith has actually done for or to the Black community? Topic 2, Black people are not descendants of Adam and Eve. Topic 3, has Black faith been used more for liberation or for social control? Those are the 3 topics. When you come up, please let us know which topic it is that you are wanting to discuss.
Yeah, they just want to talk about is Jesus God or not. They want to argue about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's growing up when I was a believer, I hated history. It's like it got to be the most boring thing. Oh, I hate it. I hated reading and I hated history. But you know, leaving religion, and then once you start to like go down these rabbit holes, and you just get to reading. The way all this stuff developed, it's like history is actually one of the most fascinating things to dive into because it explains so much of like what's happening now, or how did this happen to this, or when do we get like that, or what. It's like if you would just start at a point and work forward, you literally you literally walk up to the doorstep that you're trying to understand what's behind that door. Why is it like that? It literally started somewhere, and it'd be like growing up, you hate to read. Oh, what's all this history stuff? But it's like, man, it's some of the most fascinating stuff. Now I can't tell you the time I'm having uh digging into like Islam and how it came and the Christians and then the Muslims and then the Ottoman, the Turks, and then you get uh the Arabs taking over from the Christians, and then you get the Christians coming back and taking it back, and then the Christians start fighting each other over what they took back from man. It's like, wow, all of this stuff develops and it plays a part in how the religions of have been used on us, have played a role in us and affected us. It all this go together. Islam, Christianity, Judaism, you can't separate these and like the stuff that's happening with Black people. You cannot it go together because it's literally a part of the causes. Like the transatlantic slave trade ain't just let's just wake up and start enslaving. Like, no, this is a Christian. That is a mandate. That's a mandated endeavor by the church
Facts.
to
Facts.
separate the transatlantic slave trade from Jesus. Is That's not right. That's not right, because it starts with them Christians. You don't get a trans-Saharan / Arab slave trade without the Arabs taking over and fighting with the Christians, and you don't get a transatlantic slave trade without Christians being literally, they had no choice but to do it because the Muslim empires was putting belt to ass, taxing them, cutting them off from trade routes. They got to start doing, and they got to find another way to make money. We need something else because the Ottoman, the Arabs, the Muslims, they all this is theirs now. The Doom Verses comes out in 1452. The very next year in 1453, the Muslims took the it's called the Hagia Sophia. You look up the Hagia Sophia. That's where that's based that the seat of Christianity was in Constantinople before they moved it to the Vatican. The Hagia Sophia was like what's the word I want to use? It was like, think of like what the Vatican is today. That church, the Church of the Holy Wisdom, was that prior to the Vatican. And in the year after the Christians said, hey, go into Africa and enslave all non-Christians, the year after that, the Muslims took their Church of the Holy Wisdom. You don't think that goes together? Those are not separate historical timeline. That go together. It's because they're fighting.
Look, Bar, I see
Hold on, let me
Duke in
make
the
an announcement right
comments.
quick. If you
Okay.
are in the request and you want to come up and you want to talk about one of the topics, go ahead and hit request. I think it's interesting that like you all are here. I see you responding, whether you are deconstructing, a believer, Muslim. Like I see you in the chat. You're asking for sources. You are disputing what the hosts are saying, but you're not requesting a. So don't be scared to come on stage. It's just a conversation. You will still be breathing and alive when the conversation is over. Go ahead.
We don't bite. But no, I was just saying I saw Duke in the comments, like when Barr was saying what he was just saying. You know, Duke, I think he posted it twice. He's like, "You saying all that? What's your source?" You know, and it just baffles me because, you know, when they read the Bible, they don't ask for the source of that. They read it and take it for face value. You know, so every time someone says something like that, when you're talking about anything that's against the Bible, oh, what's the source? What's the source?
The source of the doom why should I have to give you a source about the doom verses?
Like, sir, that is the source.
That is the fucking source.
Wait,
you
I
can
don't
look
think.
up the
like that. You ask them what is the doom verses. You know, it's gonna be crickets then.
Wait, I don't think Duke is black.
Yeah, his name is Duke. Yeah,
Duke's mayonnaise?
I know he's
No,
black name.
no.
Duke, come back another day, Duke. Today's conversation is for the black community.
Yeah, I'm not like when I speak, I try not to say things that you can't go and type in or you can't go and find a book on. The Hagia Sophia is real. That's a real thing. But see, most Christians don't know about Constance. They know about the Vatican and them evil Catholics. They don't know about Constantinople though. And the Hagia Sophia was where they had the it's the word bishop. Is that the word I'm trying to? Is it bishop? It's not. It's the
bishopric.
Oh, he was his profile. It looked like a white man on the profile. I pulled up the profile picture. If he
Oh,
if
yeah,
he
it's a couple
is, send
people
your
saying
request
he black.
again to. I don't have anything against white people in this space, but today's conversation is specifically for the black community, and so I just want to make sure that we're not, uh, you know, that we're talking to black voices today. But am I crazy? Does that PFP look like a white man?
He said in the comments he's black.
Yeah, it does look like a white man. No, you're not crazy.
My
Duke.
profile, that's me holding my wife. My bad.
Oh, it looked like you got long brown hair. You know the 70s haircut that a lot of white men used to wear.
Yeah.
It looked like you got long brown hair.
Business in the front, party in the back.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. It's like I don't know what's up with my eyes. Oh my god. Okay.
No, I was here earlier and I left and I came back in the middle of Barr's statement and I was like, oh man, I'm just trying to learn. I'm deconstructed. I'm in and out of these spaces. And I'm just trying to learn more. So that's why I came in and I heard, like say, I caught the tail end of it. And I was like, man, where can I get this information? That's all.
Bar,
information on like what specific, because I talked about the Arab conquest. I talked about the Hagia Sophia. I mean, what because the doom to verses is like the infighting, the fighting between the well, I said so much, I don't know. Just give me one thing.
You was talking about the Arabs and how Islam and Christianity were kind of going back and forth, and then you had talked about how Christ was connected to the slave trade, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to read up on this. Like, I'm just trying to learn. So I was like, yeah, where can I get that information? Probably the way I asked it probably did seem pretty aggressive. Like, where's your source? But I'm just trying to learn.
Yeah. So the doom to verses is it's a religious I would say decree or mandate, basically from the church. The Doom Verses comes out in the 15th century. Now, this is prior to what they would call a Protestant Reformation, where you see all of these Baptists, the Methodists. It wasn't none of those. No, those didn't exist at this time. So it was the mother church, and then it was everybody else being persecuted by said church. You know, the Catholic Church all the way up until the like when the Catholic Church all the way up into when white people started to learn how to read the Bible for themselves. They were the mother church. They still are, but you know, the Protestant Reformation happened, and you know, they basically everybody dispersed and they did their own. They went off and did their own things. But when you look at the Doom Verses, the Doom Verses is the religious authorization to from the church to the Europeans to go into Africa and reduce everybody to slavery. All of the non-Christians, all of the Muslims, because black people had already been converting to Islam because the Arabs came first. All of the non-Christians, all of the Muslims, and all of the pagans, or you know, people practicing African spirituality, reduced them all to slavery.
And then
Literally.
watch this, Duke. And you ask like you know, ask him like how Christ is connected to the slave trade.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, follow the timeline. Like in the mid 1500s, you know, back then, like the kings, they were under the tutelage of the Pope. You know, the kings had to answer to the popes and stuff.
Yeah.
And King James, you know, the translation of the Bible translation that black people love so much. So like King James and Queen Elizabeth, you know, they wanted more power and they didn't want to answer to the Pope anymore. So they branched away and started their own little separate sect of it, you know. And that's when, you know, he started to commission some other writers from Oxford University and some other universities to, you know, including Shakespeare. Shakespeare had a hand in it as well, with writing their translation of the Bible. But like with the Jesus thing, do you know the name of the very first slave ship? Duke?
No, no, I don't.
Yeah, it was Jesus. The very first slave ship, the name of it was the good ship Jesus. And it was captained by John Hawkins, and King James and Queen Elizabeth hired him, you know, for that purpose. And how they got those slaves to willingly march
Yeah.
onto that ship was they went, you know, with an interpreter and stuff, and they preached to them, you know, about Jesus and everything. And once they preached all this stuff to him, you know, his glory and the miraculous works and stuff, they asked him, did they want to meet this Jesus? And of course, all this stuff they're learning about this character. Of course, I want to meet him. So they willingly marched
Yeah.
to the good ship Jesus, you know, to go meet Jesus. And then, of course, once they were inside, the rest is history. You know, so I'm just, you know, giving you, we're just giving you a few scenarios so you can
Yeah.
see how this stuff, you know, connects with.
Think of will you do me a favor?
Yeah. What's
W-
up?
Will you clip the like right when Bar started this part like right here where he said the doom and just make the doom verses the doom like just make that into a song for me. I just because I feel like that the doom is go somewhere. I feel like that's a good sample. That's all I want to say.
but yeah, Duke. Somebody put it in the chat. They beat me to it. I think was that Chelsea or something. I thought that was Chelsea. Somebody put it in the chat. But the if you go and look up what's called the doctrine of discovery, that is the groundwork for colonization, transatlantic slave trade, and the colonization of the Americas. All of that is it's religiously backed with the doctrine of discovery, which is the papal bulls. Doom Versus, Romanus Pontifex, and the Inter Terra. All of that together, all three came from the church. Like people try to separate white supremacy and racism from Christianity. You cannot do that because it starts with them enslaving people based on them not being Christian, and then that turns into, well, because all these black people done converted to Christianity now, we can't discriminate on the basis of not being Christian because they're all Christian now. What else can we? What, they're black.
They got a Duke. They
We
got
get the
a
slave
term.
codes at.
Duke. They got a term, like white tea people called manifest destiny, where they said that it's their God given right that was given to them by God to go all throughout the world and colonize and take over lands and stuff. It's called manifest destiny.
But and see, but
Yep.
what black believers lean on is it was Christians. This is what they tell themselves. It was Christians who abolished slavery, right? So Christians came to the uh, realization that what they were doing was wrong, and Jesus helped them get to that realization. And what they don't know is that it was a very small portion of Christians who actually fought with abolitionists to abolish slavery. The majority of white Christians fought to keep slavery. And this is
Yeah.
where the Southern Baptist Convention was first formed to fight against the abolishment of slavery. In the General Assembly in 1861, the pastors throughout the South got together and gave a speech at the General Assembly preaching that this was slavery was ordained by God and it was their God-given right, and that motion was passed unanimously to not abolish slavery based on the fact that it was slavery was biblical and it was white people's God-given right to own slaves. They talked about the harsh slave owners and how they you know mistreated their enslaved people, and they condemned and denounced them. But they literally said in the speech, it's not fair for those who are generous to their in words to have to pay the price for those that are harsh. And that motion passed unanimously. So like a lot of black people think that it was the entirety of Christianity that just came to their senses and realized that they were being cruel to black people who they saw as human. Even when slavery was abolished, they still didn't see black people as human. I mean, think about the fact that the churches stayed segregated, and the first position in society that a black man could hold that gave him any type of credibility or notoriety was a pastor.
Mm-hmm. Amen. And then think of when they bring up the whole abolitionist, I call that putting the cart before the horse, because we're going to ignore hundreds of years of Christians being the driving force for all of this. We're going to ignore that and just skip to this little small group of white people talking about they don't like how cruel the slave masters are. You're going to skip the church making this legal. You're going to skip that these European empires came and enforced it. You're going to skip all of that. All those white people. Let's skip all of them. Let's skip to the 10 motherfuckers in the corner with no pool. No. All when you look into the Protestant denominations of Christianity, because everybody looks at the Protestant denominations as, well, we're better than the Catholic Church. We had to branch off from them. What they did, we don't agree with it. We different, we better, we had to upgrade. The Protestant denominations, all of them supported this. Literally.
Yeah, and again, like believers, especially black believers, do not give a flying fuck about that because they've told themselves that Christians abolish slavery. What's up, Maddie?
Hi everyone. Hi Be Easy. Hi Fee. Hi Bar.
Hey, Maddie.
Okay,
What's up,
good
Maddie?
good evening, y'all. I want to come up because I did want to talk about the topic, but specifically like kind of geared toward the younger part. It's if I remember it correctly, it's about how the faith affects the Black community. I feel like in the younger group, we're still so like far in it. It takes away our ability to hold ourselves accountable. And it's even in the older part. But because I'm around younger people, I'm hearing it from younger people more. But it's always like if they fuck up, oh, the devil made me do this. No. No, you made a bad decision. That wasn't the devil, but anything good that happened is always, oh, the God this or oh, the God that. And I remember telling my mom all the time when I was in college, like, and I made a good grade, my mom would be like, yeah, God got your back, baby. You know, your mama and your grandma, we pray so hard over you. I just used to be on that phone like, girl. And this is before I told her I was deconstruction. I used to be so irritated when she would give what I'm doing and how hard I'm studying and staying up late to this God. And that's often what it does. It takes away our accountability and um like what we have done, like what we have built. Like it's so annoying and you see it so much, like especially since you guys were already talking about slavery. When we look at slavery, you know, we always say like nobody helped us. And they'll be like, oh, what about Harriet Tubman? Motherfucker, it was more than 80 slaves in slavery. Like, and that lady was doing that on her own. And she was bopping people across the head if they was not in line. Like, that was not God. Who the fuck? What about everybody else who was stuck there that Harriet didn't even get to? Like, it takes away those people's accomplishments and what they work for, and it turns it into, oh, it's the God's doing. This is what God is doing. Okay, so when are we going to be able to do some shit? Like, when are we going to get our coins and our claps for what the fuck we're doing? Like, why every time we do something that's good, it's immediately hand off to this guy? Like, we can't never say, oh yeah, this person did a great thing. It's always, oh, God blessed them and talked to them and told them to help me. What if they're a Satanist, motherfucker? What if the like what if Buddha told them to help you? Like, you don't know that. You're just taking away like the goodness in somebody else's heart or somebody else's drive to do something, and you're turning it into, oh, it's the God. And then I'm gonna let one of y'all speak because I'm kind of monologuing.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the whole narrative that you're born in sin and you are worthless. And anything that you do good in the God, your righteousness, is still a filthy rag. And so if also you are to give up your life, lose your life for this God. And if you apply anything to yourself, then that means you're putting yourself before the God and you are making yourself an idol. So everything is the God. You aren't allowed to give yourself credit. And then if you remember, like when we were in church and we were singing or preaching or praise dancing, they would always say, the Lord show blessed you today. The anointing show was on you today. Like they can't just say, girl, you sang that song. They have to give credit to the anointing. Like, you could not have done that without this supernatural power coming in and touching your vocal cords.
Yeah.
And that kind of indoctrinates you into that behavior of giving something outside of yourself credit for the things that you do, even getting up out of bed.
Yeah, I agree. And then also, like, I don't know why people don't understand. White people have been destroying everything we built since the beginning. I mean, they were burning down cities, drowning whole cities, hunting us down anytime we create a space for ourselves. That's like we had the Black Nerd Convention. Motherfuckers coming up in there being racist or getting
I've
mad
seen
because
that.
they can't
I've seen
come.
that.
But
Mm-hmm.
y'all are the reason we created it, because anytime we go to any of the other spaces, y'all are being racist as fuck. Like, bitch, if I want to dress up as an anime cosplay, I can do that because your white ass is doing it. Like, anytime we're doing something for ourselves, they're taking it and they're ruining it. They're ruining it. The whole reason they're letting us keep Christianity is because it's putting us right where they want us to be. We're worthless without this God. We ain't shit without this God. And we need to be sorry and hopeful and like pray that this God would take us under our wing. The whole premise of us having to be sorry and hoping that a God will take us under his wing is bullshit. Like, why are we hoping that the God would do this? I mean, if he created all of us, he should already be taking care of us. That's bullshit. And honestly, it's still like, to me, it's still like a, I really hope Massa approves of me type of mindset. Like, it's weird as fuck. I don't like it. It's odd. And it literally just keeps us, I feel like, in a repeating state of we're useless without a big white Jesus helping us. That's literally what this is now. It's no longer like a Hebrew Jesus. This is a white Jesus that we're worshiping. This is white people. We're putting up these figures up in our yard. My Mimi used to put figures up in her yard too that was white until my mama told her something about it. And then now all the figures are black. But they literally used to be white around Christmas until my mom said something. But like, this is literally their religion. And it wasn't even their shit. They fucking took it. Like, they took it and we're sitting here worshiping it. It's always like, we're always begging to be accepted by something that ain't us. Like, we're always trying to be the first Native Americans, the first, like, we're Jesus was black. We're the first Jewish people. We're the real Hebrew Israelites. No, why are you, Bar say it all the time, why are you steady claiming some shit that ain't yours? How about we go claim our ancestry and what the fuck we used to do in Africa? Why aren't we claiming that spirituality? Why aren't we learning our languages or trying to figure out whatever language we spoke before they got over there and they colonized Africa so bad that all the motherfuckers over there now is Christian or Muslim? Like, why don't we try to get back to that instead of trying to steadily fit into somebody else's shit, if that makes sense?
Give me a second. Can somebody do me a favor and check from a backup account and let me know if we're on the FYP? Because I'm seeing nerd after nerd. Go ahead.
Nobody else can speak now. I'm chewing on my tender. Hold up.
I
Yeah.
don't think we are. Yeah, I didn't think so because there's no way in hell we haven't had anybody come in here and type nigger. Uh, yeah,
Oh,
no, like honestly, like there's no way in
that is
hell that
true.
we're on the FYP. Because like it's weird that we're not getting anyone to come up. But that says also there's 500 nerds in here, and y'all could come up because this conversation is not just to talk to believers. So y'all too could have come up and participated in this conversation because it's about having the conversation with everybody. But I think maybe doing a reset to get us on the FYP because I think we're in a bubble right now, and just an attempt to see if we can get some conversations going. I'm gonna let Maddie finish her conversation, but I'm gonna do one restart. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, thinker. And then I also was thinking about when it comes to like literature in my English class. I do online now. I don't really go like on campus anymore because the campus I go to, they let anybody on there. Like, they basically was letting the Ku Klux Klan on there because we're open campus, and it's really stressful. But in my English class, we did a test, and she only gave us like 5 minutes to write about a topic we're really passionate about. And um I chose if we applied Black Christianity logic to literature and the way we write. And that's really hard to explain. It was really hard for me to figure out the topic, but I feel like I conveyed enough. She literally gave me a 100 on it. She's a Black teacher herself. So I was saying like how if we applied the same logic we have with Black Christianity, that you would have a lot of people ignoring sources, coming up with things, misinterpreting documents and trying to say outright that something is one thing when it's clearly not when you look at the history. Like you would just have a whole bunch of nonsense in our literature that leads to nowhere. And that's all a bunch of hoorah. And I got a good grade on it. And I really think that's true. Like even when the white girl from I forget what university she was at, she had wrote that hateful ass thing that was literally supposed to be backed in the Bible. But you had black people defending her. And it's stupid as fuck because that was not a good essay. And you could definitely try to write a good essay for that and provide sources. She couldn't even quote her own Bible, which we already know Christians suck at that anyway. And when they do quote it, it's always misinterpreted or they're adding their own inputs and thoughts into it. Like they were backing her up saying, yeah, this was a good essay. What the fuck y'all English grades look like? Because if I would have turned that into any of my teachers I had last year, they were both white and Christian, they would have also gave me a fuck. They would have gave me a F, to be honest. Like they would have gave me a F, and there wouldn't be no redoing it. Nobody in the English wing would have agreed that it should have been redone or anything like that. Like it was just horrible. And again, because of this literature, I feel like because of Christianity and what it does and all of our different denominations and how our denominations choose to ignore certain crucial things or choose to make apologies for certain things that are said in this book, it's honestly destroying our literature and the way we communicate and the way we're writing things down now. And I think that's really going to affect us in the long run because we're going away from facts and things that can be backed up, and now we're just throwing shit out there. And sometimes it's sticking to the wall. I don't know why the fuck it's sticking to the wall because it's still wrong, but you'll have multiple people jumping on it. And I think it's going to create like a lot of. I just feel like in 100 years, when somebody's looking back on this, hopefully this religion is dead and gone. People are gonna be like, "Wow, they were stupid as fuck." Like, there is no way that they went this for, or what they're doing is gonna work, and we're gonna be stuck in that falsifying and ignoring facts and just creating our own realities. And I don't want to be stuck in a fantasy. I want to be in reality. I want to stay to what this book says, and I want my people to get out of the faith, and that's it.
Well, I agree. I agree.
All right.
Anybody have anything to
Thank you
say?
guys.
Nah, thanks for sharing, Maddie.
All right, give me a
Thanks,
second, y'all.
guys.
I'm gonna do
Bye,
a
y'all.
bye, Maddie. I'm gonna do a reset, but hold on for a second.
Okay.
I love that topic too. That was a great subject for a paper.
I don't know why TikTok does the first time you go live, it only goes to your followers. Y'all did a good job sharing it out, feeding the beast, all of that. I think it's crazy that we've been in this corner all the entire live. I'm also gonna make another post to make the topics bigger. Mm-hmm. Let me see.
Yeah, TikTok has been on some bull lately.
Yeah.
Hey, ever since it transferred, man.
I mean, I have to do a reset damn near every night. It's ridiculous. But also, I think people would rather just talk shit about my ass than talk to me.
That's true. Also,
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, they was talking about
and,
you in
and
the chat on my YouTube channel. Some some random person was like, some you
Let me
lacking
guess. Let
logic
me
or
guess.
something.
I'm acting what?
That you were lacking logic.
Oh, that's. But they don't ever come in here to challenge me. Like, I mean, as long as they're running from me, I guess I'm still winning, right? I'm like Jezebel, where they're hiding. I thought that's what they were going to say, Elijah Johnson. But yeah, like it makes me wonder about like the Jezebel story and like what Jezebel possibly could have been cutting off, because like cutting off in the story doesn't necessarily mean she was killing them. She could have been stopping them from practicing, right? Um, and so it just reminds me of that and how they run and hide. And they rather talk shit about me in other spaces and tag me when I'm on other people's lives. But when I'm live, they hide in my chat or they watch from the hallway. And like, and the worst thing that I do is yell and I'll cuss a motherfucker out for disrespect. But I don't think that's what they're hiding from. I think that they don't like the fact that I don't. They want me to have the conversation with them about whether their God exists or not, and I don't give a fuck. Like that's not the important part to me. The important part to me is the impact, like what the fuck this belief system is doing, and how you are acting with this belief system, how white supremacy is acting this belief system, how I believe the God is the God of white supremacy. Because to me, the God is an idea. Like I'll tell a believer in a minute, your God is real. It's an idea that lives in your fucking head. It's a concept.
I was just about to say, I think that's probably why why we're having such a hard time getting people to come up, because this isn't theoretic. Like this, I have that little saying that says the God can only do what you imagine.
Yeah.
And once you take it out of something imaginary into something that's like practical and
Yep.
real, that you right then you run out of things. Like you can't run into like a philosophy or interpretation or you got to just deal with reality. And if it's one thing we've noticed, believers in reality do not mix well.
Which is why we are suffering as a community, because they refuse to look at they refuse to see what's happening to the community. They don't care enough. They rather let the community suffer and die and hang on to their uh, imaginary, their imagination and their testimonies and favor that they believe they have, while having to get on TikTok and ask people to watch a video to the end and do all the things so they can pay for cancer treatment.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And I think like if we were just discussing like what did Adam do in the garden, you know what I'm saying? Like you probably get a lot more people who wanna talk about that, or what's the transcendental argument for God's existence? You'll
is
get a trillion
Jesus
people.
God? Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
because they
claim
can
to be
bullshit
God.
their way through that. They don't
Yeah.
actually have to know shit. They could just
Yep.
say a bunch of words. Like that guy that was on Mama Bash Live earlier,
Jesse.
man, lost his shit because I asked him to summarize what he had just the definition he had just read. He don't know. He didn't understand a motherfucking word he said, and I knew the moment he said regard, I knew he didn't understand shit he read.
The way he said it.
Yeah. Yep. And then the fact that he just kept reading the definition over and over again. Like they want to pretend to be knowledgeable and pretend they have intellect. And they've been able to do that for the fucking longest. And like they're not used to talking to people who have knowledge regarding the space. They're used to leaning on their pastor's knowledge. And the pastor isn't there to fucking tell them the truth. The pastor is there to keep you in the seat.
Facts. And if you think about the fact that like when you like Christianity, specifically Christianity, you have to think about the fact that you go from being a sinner destined for hell to a immortal good being in an instant, right? Like you didn't have to learn anything. You didn't have to know anything. You didn't have to necessarily do anything. You could literally believe yourself into righteousness, which makes you an instant subject matter expert. And I don't think there's anything else on the planet where you can go from being a novice, like a complete noob, to an expert that fast, right?
Not
So
anything real.
nothing real. Yeah. Yeah, nothing real. That you can just go from being like, oh, I don't know anything about this. I'm a, just the most horrible human being ever. And now all of a sudden it's like, I know everything. The spirit gave me all the answers. Like you just become a subject matter expert out of nowhere. Yeah. That's crazy.
But that's what they like. That's what they like. All right, y'all. I am going to do a reset. I don't know if the people that are in the guest request box are in there on purpose. Y'all always do this to me, right? When I say I'm going to a reset. You two, unfortunately, I have to do a reset with you as well because I need to change out the post. And I cannot do that while I'm screen recording. So I'll be back on both in just a second. Y'all come back now, you hear?